Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the only football podcast. Tonight, there's one more week of regular NFL season football left, and Kyle and I are going to give you our picks, our predictions for that final week. Then we're going to go into our playoff scenarios, who's in, who's out for the NFC, AFC, and of course, we've got to talk about the Pro Bowl, who got snubbed. Kyle and I have got a list of people who have been snubbed, and we're going to talk about it on tonight's episode. And of course, we're going to end it all off with the chives with Kyle. Let's get it.
Going on, ladies and gentlemen? Happy week 18. Welcome to the Only Football Podcast. I'm Kyle, and that's Rick.
I'm Rick, that's Kyle.
And as you said in the very brief intro, this is week 18, and it's freaking sad. It's bittersweet because it is good to, when season is over, to be able to hang out with family on Sundays and stuff like that. But I'm a selfish person, and I would rather watch football.
100%.
100%. This is gonna be an interesting week, Rick, because there's a lot of playoff scenarios on the line, but it's not as clear as that. This is a very, very unclear, with a messy, foggy playoff picture right now, with a ton of different clinching scenarios. And to make it even more complicated, some of these teams aren't playing their starters. Lamar Jackson isn't going to be playing against the Steelers tomorrow. And that's why the Steelers are favorites by 4 points. And now remember this too, because when we talk about playoff clinching scenarios later, we're going to come back to this game. I can promise you. Now for this game, I'm going to take the Steelers at home. Not going to waste too much time with this one. The Ravens are not playing their starters. To me, this one's not important to the head coach, or Lamar Jackson would be out there. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ball, you got a Steelers team that's playing for the playoffs. They're a very good road team. They're going to be at home, correct? Steelers are at home.
No, it's actually Ravens. Sorry,
okay,
in Baltimore. Yep.
I'm not changing my pick. I just was curious. So the Steelers already beat the Ravens this year, Rick. It's already happened. Now they're not playing their starters. Give me the Steelers.
I love it. And you're right. Early in the season, this was one of those games for the Ravens where we've talked about, in these last couple episodes, where early in the season, they were losing game against Cleveland and against the Steelers. And yes, Cleveland, again, had that dominant defense, but they didn't have Deshaun Watson at that point. And so the Ravens lost 2 of those games. Again, Kenny Pickett, the offense wasn't working. They still had Matt Canada. The defense was doing well, but they were still struggling. They weren't the Pittsburgh Steelers defense that you usually see. Now, going into week 18, yes, Lamar Jackson's going to be out. A lot of their starters are probably going to be out, but I'm still going Ravens, bro. I'm still going Ravens. I think they're still going to come out with the win tonight, or I'm sorry, on Sunday, not tonight, Saturday. Sorry. God,
I wish.
All over the place right now. Yeah, I know, right? It'd be awesome.
I wish.
I still got the Ravens winning at home. There's something about the Ravens at home, even with starters out, even with the Steelers, trying to play for that playoff wild card. I still think the Ravens are going to somehow pull this out. I think they might have a few starters in there for a few plays in the beginning, first quarter. So it's almost going to be like a preseason game, I think, for the Ravens, maybe depending on who they have out. But I'm still taking the Ravens to win this one at home. And real quick, I just want to give a shout out to Liam, to Crafty, and to Andy, who are all in the chat right now. Thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
Always appreciate you guys being here. And yes, Andy, I am from Chicago.
Awesome. Okay. Do you think for the Steelers, this is a must win? Not just talking about like going to the playoffs, but with everything that's gone on this year, with the firing of Matt Canada, Mike Tomlin has been under more scrutiny than my entire lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
There's there's this tension with the Steelers, but yet here they are. They get a win, they can go into the playoffs. They don't seem like they're falling apart.
Yeah.
But if they don't win this game, does it fall apart? Especially if they lose to a backup quarterback?
Yeah, this is like, honestly, I was thinking about it, and the Steelers are finding themselves in a really weird spot where I think most fans don't want to make the playoffs, and some fans do want to make the playoffs, because you go into this playoff game, if you do win, you go into the playoffs possibly with Mason Rudolph at quarterback. You're not going to bring back Kenny
Hell
Pickett,
yeah.
especially with how bad he's been. And you're definitely not going Mitch Trubisky. Like, that is 100% correct, right? Like,
what if we get Steelers, Browns, Myles Garrett, Mason Rudolph?
Oh, that would be awesome. Well, you can't. Well, eventually you can, I think, the way the seeding works.
Eventually,
first round. Yeah. I just like how you said, is this going to be the win that really, gets them over? I don't know, man, because they are really in a situation where, again, Mike Tomlin does not have a losing season, but they have questions at quarterback. They've still got questions, I think, on, most of their team, their offensive coordinator. While he did have a good couple games, it still hasn't been awesome offense, and obviously that does come from quarterback play. That does come from running back play, wide receiver, the offense. Like, they still have a ton of questions to answer. And I don't know if making it to the playoffs, I like it, is gonna solve all those issues from them. You know what I mean? It's almost like when the Bears made it in the wild card back in 2019 or something like that, right? They made it, and it was Mitch Trubisky, and it was this team that was more or less falling apart, and it wasn't even that fun. Like, they lost to the Saints. It wasn't fun. All those guys from that team are gone now. So the Steelers find themselves in this really weird situation. And to be honest, if I'm a Steelers fan, I almost don't want them to make the playoffs, man. I mean, playoff football is exciting. Don't get me wrong.
No way, man.
I've said it before on this show, but I think for the better of the franchise moving forward, you want a low pick. You want as low a pick as possible to try to trade down, trade up, whatever the situation may be.
Easy for you to say, but your team's not where the Steelers are, 100%. Because all you need is a ticket, man, and anything can happen. Yeah. And it's just fun. It's like when you buy a Powerball ticket at $1 billion. It's like, yeah, you're probably not going to win, but it's cool to have that possibility lingering for 24 hours that could be the winning ticket. Like, I still think if you're a Steelers fan, you want them to go in. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, ultimately, I don't think it matters. The Steelers aren't going to make a deep playoff run this year. And if I had to if the Ravens were playing their starters, I wouldn't even be picking the Steelers, period. So the Steelers still need a lot of things to happen in order to get in. And I'm trying to think, does Pittsburgh have Pittsburgh could be a 6 seed.
Wow.
Pittsburgh, and I'll just say Pittsburgh's, I'll leave the other team out. So Pittsburgh can lose this game and still make the playoffs. And then here's what that would look like. They would need the Jags to lose, Denver to beat the Raiders, and the Colts Texans game not to end in a tie. And that's why I said I wanted to go back to this really quick, is because we're picking the Steelers. The Jags are probably not going to lose to who are they playing again? They're not playing a good team. They're playing
the Jags are going to be playing the Titans. Yeah, not a good team at all.
Yeah, so the Jags are going to beat the Titans, and then you look at a tie. Games never end in tie. So if Denver beats the Raiders, Pittsburgh could be in the playoffs without even winning this game, which is insane.
Crazy.
And
that's crazy.
Yeah, there's a couple more like that we'll get to later, but we'll go on to our next game for now. And our next game is going to be an AFC South matchup. Colts underdog, 1-point underdog. So that's their way of saying nobody knows. It's going to be at 8:15 p.m. This is going to be a Saturday night football game, and it's going to be in Indianapolis, Lucas Oil. This is tough, man. This is tough because you have two coaches that are first. It's their first season with their team, and D'Amico Ryans could be hosting a playoff game in Houston as a first-year head coach with a rookie quarterback hosting a playoff game. And I'm going to say it: if CJ Stroud and the Texans get in, they could make they could go to the Super Bowl. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I'm not predicting them to go, but if the Texans and Ravens are playing with 1 week left before Super Bowl, I'm not going to be shocked because CJ Stroud, when he's on, he's playing at a higher level than almost any quarterback. Lamar, Dak, CJ Stroud. It's just like that. And he's a rookie. So we got to also consider that he's going to get better every week. And that's what's crazy. And that's kind of scary, actually, if you're in the AFC South. I mean, you got this Trevor Lawrence guy that never lost a football game until his very last college football game in his whole life. Yeah. And it's like you think, oh, the Jags got their guy. And I do believe they have their guy. But looking on the Texans, it's like, whoa, why couldn't the Jags have that kind of quick success? And I just think that Texans are too much of a real threat for me to take the Colts. I know that the Colts are at home, but I'm expecting CJ Stroud to have a better game than Gardner Minshew. And when it's really a toss-up game and I don't know where to go, I ask myself, what quarterback do I trust more? Yeah, CJ Stroud's going to be on the road, but he's proven throughout this whole season that he's the better quarterback. And that's not a hit on Gardner Minshew because he's played good football and he's got his team in playoff position. But I think on Sunday, D'Amico Ryans gets the win and the Houston Texans host a playoff game.
I have to agree with you, man. I really do have to agree with you. And it sucks because the Colts have been a bit of a surprise, obviously, all season, right? And you said, the spread right now is the Colts +1 because you're like, we don't fucking know. And I love it. And even though the Colts...
Fugazi.
Fugazi.
Never landed. It is no matter. It's not fucking real. Okay.
But this is going to be an exciting game, man. I mean, both of these games on Saturday are going to be awesome, right? Because they both have playoff implications, and more specifically for the Texans Colts, it's really a win and get in at the end of the day, for both of these teams. And you're right, the better quarterback at the end of the day in this game is CJ Stroud. He didn't have an amazing game last week, and we talked about it during our Week 17 recap. But I think he's kind of starting to get going again. And I don't think this is going to be his last week of playing football, man. I do think they get into the playoffs with a win over the Colts. They will be in Indianapolis. But I think this team has a lot more heart at the end of the day than the Colts. And Colts have weapons, right? They got Zach Moss, their running back, Jonathan Taylor. They've got Minshew. I just don't think Gardner Minshew is going to be able to do enough. I think, honestly, if I'm being honest, I think he's going to have probably one of his worst games of the season, Week 18, even though everything's on the line.
Ooh,
and
really?
I think he's going to have probably one of his worst games of the season against this Texans defense. Again, This Texans defense isn't like the Ravens or the Browns or anything like that. Like, they're a solid defense. They're a mid-tier defense. I just think they're, D'Amico Ryans being the defensive guy, he's going to pull all the stops for this defense, try to get to Minshew, try to get to these receivers, and just try to kill this team, like physically, literally, spiritually, mentally, kill this team all over the place. So I definitely think it's going to be the Texans. And Liam, we will definitely get to your question here in a bit.
So you, just to be totally clear, you're predicting Houston to blow out the Texans.
Not blow out.
I just think blow out the Colts.
Blow out the Colts, not blow them out. I just think Minshew has one of his worst games.
Really?
I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
Damn, I hope not.
Because CJ Stroud is kind of coming back from that injury, right? I don't think he's going to be throwing for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns. But I think the Texans do win this game. And again, Minshew is going to have probably one of his worst games of the season. I just don't know about the Colts in total,
Yeah, I get all. And I'll say I'm going to say that CJ Stroud does throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdown passes. I think this is going to be a monster game. And that's what's needed because he's been hurt for a couple of weeks and we all just kind of like moved off the Texans. Like wrong,
Yeah.
wrong.
100%.
There's no way. But all right. So that game's going to be awesome. That's a really, really tough conference. And who would have thought the AFC South would have 3 teams battling, especially after Anthony Richardson got hurt in the beginning of the season. Like the fact that all 3 of these teams are here, they've all had different kind of odds to overcome. Not really Jacksonville besides Trevor Lawrence's injuries, but man, just congratulations to that whole entire division. A lot of great coaching. That's all that is great coaching.
Yeah.
Besides the Panthers, coincidentally, or no, not the Panthers. But the reason I said that is because we're going to talk about the NFC South now. Okay, the NFC South is going to be having really important football games this week. Now, the one that we're going to talk about right now is not on the list for one of those teams. Okay, like when I say nobody wants to win this division, I mean like nobody wants to win it. I mean, they're trying as hard as they can, man. But the Bucs control their own destiny here. They win the division with a victory in Carolina. Carolina's coming off a 26-0 loss to CJ Beathard's Jaguars, okay? And that just tells me that anybody can beat the Jaguar or anybody can beat the Panthers by a pretty good margin. And the Bucs have, I think, enough raw talent to do that with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Baker playing at a high level. So I'm going on the Bucs. It's a meaningful game. I think Bucs win this game, and I think they win by 14.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that's anything crazy to say either. 2 scores, whatever it may be. I mean, they got the Panthers plus 5.5. I think that's going to be a lot more. And you know, the Bucs win this. They win the division. So if the Bucs win this, spoiler.
You know, there's a lot of like closer games than we would think because they know that this is the week that people want to spoil, like the Bears on Packers game.
Exactly. Can't wait for that one.
which makes it a little tricky, but you're still predicting a blowout.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking, man. Like Bucs are gonna kill them. They're gonna win the division, which this entire time I had the Saints, and while the Saints may still be able to make the playoffs even with the Bucs winning, it's the Bucs who surprised us at the end of it. It's Baker Mayfield, a QB1 who won it over I forget who they had there at quarterback for Tampa, but it was him winning it over that guy. Close. Kind of like Tom Brady. It was him winning the quarterback 1 spot in the offseason when really no one thought that was going to be an option for the Bucs. I can't think of the quarterback's name right now, but they a lot of people thought they were going to go with him. And Baker Mayfield came into Tampa Bay and was like, nope, I'm going to start. I'm winning the job. And look where they're at. They're in a meaningful Week 18 game, something that the Bucs, after Tom Brady left, were not expecting to be in. So I think the Bucs have a very, very solid chance, and that's why I'm picking them to beat the Panthers. The Panthers on one side. They are so bad this year, guys. They're so embarrassing, really, to be honest. When you look at the season overall, man, it's just kind of been a roller coaster ride of emotions, a roller coaster ride of Bryce Young, even though most of his play has been bad. But you've seen games where Bryce Young has played well. Can this be one of them? I don't think it could be one of them. I think he's just going to be overwhelmed by a Bucs defense that is very good. So Bryce Young not going to have one of his good games. And also,
he's had one of those.
He had a 300+ game. Do you remember? He had, I think, in the last win, or maybe he had like 250 yards. Something. It was
like
good.
2 games ago. It was Bryce Young finally had a big game. It was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was like something like that where we're just like, oh shit, Bryce Young. That's the play that Panthers fans need. But talking about the Panthers, again, I've got the Bucs winning. I've got the Bucs winning convincingly. It's almost like a godsend that they got this Week 18 matchup with what is on the line, the division, right? But going back to the Panthers, man, David Tepper, I don't know what the fuck he's doing. I don't know what is in his mind when he's at these games. He's throwing ice on fans. You thought Dan Snyder was an asshole of an owner? David Tepper said, hold my beer. Because this guy has just been making headlines this entire season. And I think Crafty, I think it is Blaine Gabbert. He's been making headlines the entire year and not for the right reasons, man. This guy hired Reich fired him, is throwing drinks on people, is trying to
love that.
fire GMs, hire GMs. He's trying to win now. You're not going to win now, man. I was listening to the Pat McAfee show, and they were talking about, I forgot who they had on as a guest, but he was talking about you need a plan. Most of these teams with their owner, they need a plan. You're not going to win now. Firing and hiring people is not the answer, right? Bryce Young is not going to be the answer this year. He was never going to be. The fact that CJ Stroud is doing what he's doing is amazing, but you've got to have a plan, man. You have got to have a plan, and David Tepper just does not have a plan. So that's my little rant on the Panthers, but I just wanted to say that piece because David Tepper, like I said, he's like, hey, Dan Snyder, hold my beer. Check out how shitty of an owner I can really be.
Yeah, and I'm seeing here right now on Bryce Young's stats. Against the AFC East, he has a QB rating of 85.1. Against the NFC North, 87.9. Against the AFC South, which this game will be, he has a completion percentage of only 68.9. So he has played a little bit worse against, in divisional games.
Yeah.
And this game's going to be inside or outside?
They are
Colts inside.
No, but Bucks and Panthers.
Bucks. I mean, Panthers are outside. Yeah, Bank of America. So this game's going to be outside, and it shows here that he has a 77.5 QB rating in outdoor games this season. So in the weeds for no reason right now. Moving on.
For no reason.
Why
right
not? Just
Yeah.
Week 18. When did they start throwing out QBRs? All right. So our next game is going to be the other two in this division, the Jaguars and the Titans. Now, the Jags are on the road here. The Titans are going to be at home. Tennessee's roster's just been, there's a lot of holes on it right now. And they're a well-coached team, and they've pulled off several upsets this year. So even though they're not having a good year, you still just can't count them out. Mike Vrabel's a good coach. They're well-coached. And if the Jaguars win this game, they win the AFC South. Playing, spoiler, will be Tennessee. Now, how many games have we gone over where so many teams, every game has had somebody with the chance to either spoil or win and get in. So this is like a week of playoff football. Trevor Lawrence wasn't playing last week. They went with CJ Beathard, but there's optimism that he's going to be able to play this week. If he does play, I think the Jags get the win easy.
All right. I like it. And to be honest, man, I think you kind of go with CJ Beathard in this one. I know it's Trevor Lawrence, and I know it's week 18, and I know you want to win this game. But I think you might have to go with CJ Beathard because I don't know.
Can you afford to?
That's the thing too, because if they lose, I don't believe they make the playoffs, or they can make it as a 7 seed, as a wild card, right? And you don't want to be a wild card. You'd rather have that home playoff game for sure. It's just, dude, the way Trevor Lawrence was playing before last week, it's kind of put them in the spot that they're in now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yes, they had the Bucks last week, and CJ Beathard was able to go out there and have a game. ETN was able to have a game. Like that offense was able to do well. And especially the defense too. They ate that week. So I don't know about Trevor Lawrence this week. Again, if I can't make that decision, it sucks because Trevor Lawrence has been playing not great, and who knows, right? Because that may be a question going, after this week. Oh, should we have played Trevor Lawrence, or we shouldn't have played Trevor Lawrence, or something? You know what I mean? Like it might go one of either way. I think regardless whether they play Trevor Lawrence or not, I've got the Jags winning this game, man. The Titans have been, lifeless, really. Whether it's Tannehill, Levis brings a spark, but he's starting to get just like every game is like an injury, like a sprained ankle, a twisted this. He gets knocked out. Something happens to him, and it's like, oh man, I hope it's nothing that continues on through his career. But you just, the best ability is availability, and he's having a tough time being available for the Titans. But you mentioned that they've been playing spoiler. The game that comes to mind is the Miami Dolphins when they beat them. on I forget when, before
4 weeks
Christmas.
ago.
Yeah, something like that. And you're just like, how the fuck, what? You know what I mean? So can they do it against the Jaguars? I don't think so. I really don't think they have it in them. Derrick Henry has not been himself. Obviously, the quarterback controversy going on there. Their wide receivers, Treylon Burke, is supposed to be their number one guy. That just has not been the case ever since they got rid of A.J. Brown. And yes, they're very well coached, and this defense can put on a show if they're given an opportunity. I just don't think they're going to do it this time against the Jags. I've got the Jags winning. And I think they win, and if they win, they are division champions, I believe. So they're going to get this dub even in Tennessee.
And do you think, because we got a fantasy football group chat, and they were like, who do you got winning the Super Bowl? And not joking, I said, the Bills or the Jags. And everyone's laughing about it. And I'm like, hold on. Jacksonville came very close to beating the Chiefs last year. And actually, if they didn't just fuck up a bunch, they would have. It was like they just couldn't handle the pressure. They were dropping wide open balls. They fumbled on the goal line. It was a shit show. They win that game. Who knows what happens? The Eagles probably win the Super Bowl if they win. But who knows? Yeah. We'll never know. But all I'll say is, like, Jacksonville's still that team. They didn't lose any players. They added players. Calvin Ridley's playing football this year. I mean, at any moment, Trevor Lawrence, because that's the thing about him. What you have in Trevor Lawrence is he might have a bad game. He might be a 10-6 season right now, but he's also just a guy that wins. That's all he does. He wins, and he finds ways to do it. I think if Jacksonville wins this game, okay, they would go in at what, the 4 seed?
4 seed, yeah. I think they have the worst record out of the 4.
Okay, so they would end up playing the 5 seed. So I'm just gonna say right now, if the Colts, Pittsburgh, if any of these teams play Jacksonville, I'm picking Jacksonville. And then Jacksonville would move on to the divisional round where they would play maybe the Ravens. That would be a good game. I'm not saying I would pick Jacksonville, but I am saying, like, Jacksonville to me is a team that I would take serious, that they could go to the Super Bowl this year, especially with the way Mahomes and the Chiefs are right now. I mean, and the same thing with the Bills. That's why I have the Bills in, because they're playing better football than almost every team besides 2. And the AFC's as good as it is. The window's open for everybody, whether that's Joe Flacco in Cleveland or Trevor Lawrence or CJ Stroud as a rookie. It's open, and I'm just saying, I think that Trevor Lawrence might go through that window. And I wanted to ask you about it before we moved on. Do you think Jacksonville can go to the Super Bowl this year?
I honestly, I really don't think so, man.
Me neither.
I was like, I totally don't see it. The Bills, though, on the other hand, you said Bills and Jaguars. The Bills, I can't see them. And it's such a crazy thing how hot and cold we've been on the Bills this season. The beginning of the season, we were talking about how, oh, wow, the Bills are silently getting those dubs. And then the middle of the season happens, and you're like, oh, they're not even going to make the playoffs. And now these last 5 weeks, you're like, shit, watch out for the Bills. They're going to be going into the playoffs. Like, we're so hot and cold with them that I think they can go into the playoffs and win a few games, get to the Super Bowl, because the running game has been great. The offensive play calling has been a lot better since they got rid of whoever their old offensive coordinator was. The coaching has been a lot better. The decision making, just being wary of time. The defense has been good, as it usually has been. The Bills definitely have a very, very good shot at getting to the Super Bowl. I would put them way above the Jags in terms of, like, percentage wise of making the Super Bowl. The Jags, to me, kind of talked about it, man. They've been rough even with Trevor Lawrence starting. And while you did, you mentioned Calvin Ridley, you mentioned how they can win games. Calvin Ridley, like, there are some games where you're just like, where the fuck was Calvin Ridley at this entire game, right? Like, there has been games this season where that happens, and there's been games where you're just like, holy shit, Calvin Ridley went off. So it's when you get to the playoffs, Trevor Lawrence should be a guy going to playoffs who's gonna look for his number one guy, Calvin Ridley and ETN and all these guys. that's more than likely going to happen. But they, you talked about, will they, if they can go up against who did you say, the Steelers,
like Pittsburgh Colts, like
Pittsburgh
those
Colts,
wild card teams.
They're more likely.
Texans, I would worry.
They're more likely to go up against a Browns team, a Miami Dolphins, or a Bills team at this point. And those guys, those are the ones I would take the visiting team. If the Jags won the division, I'd take the visiting team 100 out of 100 times. Dolphins would probably be the one that I'd be a little less worried about, but the Browns and the Bills, they're up there, man. They are up there.
Well, we're gonna actually circle to this in a little bit about what Kansas City and Miami and what's at stake, because if Miami wins against the Bills, then nothing really changes for them. But no. For Buffalo, everything changes. We'll get there. I'm going to save it. Let's just keep on trucking through these. So we got the Bengals at home against the Browns. Bengals are 6-point favorites because Shane Steichen said that he was going to be no, not Shane Steichen. Who's the Browns head coach?
Stefanski.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He already said that he's benching everybody for this game. And the Bengals, these are hard, man, to predict when you're not even starting Joe Flacco. Who would have thought I would have said, this is hard because Joe Flacco's not starting? Like, what a weird year. But yeah, I'm going to go with the team that's playing their starters. I'm going to go with the Bengals because they are supposed to have better talent on the field. I would hope so.
Yeah, and this one was a tough one for me. And the Bengals are probably going to win, but I'm still going Browns, man. I can't get off this Browns bandwagon at this point. They've been so good with just like
welcome.
Yeah, with just like
welcome to the
no talent. Like they have lost their starting quarterback, their running back, all these key players on defense and offense. Like it's just crazy what Stefanski has done. And I think he's going to do it again. I think he's going to win this game with no starters or minimal starters, whatever he does. I think he's just going to be able to win this game against the Bengals. And the Bengals, God, dude, the Bengals were coming into this year with Joe Burrow and what he did in those first 5 weeks, battling through those injuries and coming back and being like, oh shit, watch out for the Bengals again, right? Mid-season. Then he gets injured again, out for the season. And we're like, oh shit. Then we saw Jake Browning and we're like, okay, this guy can actually take him there. But as of recently, it's no longer the same Bengals team that we're kind of used to, or even that spark with Jake Browning in those first 3 games. It's no longer that Bengals team. I'm picking the Browns to win it. Again, Stefanski is going to somehow get them to get this dub with starters from the Browns being out. But Stefanski's just that good of a coach. And Andy, we don't have a Discord, Andy. We will soon, hopefully, eventually. We're gonna get some stuff going. But no Discord right now, no Discord chat. This is our own personal fantasy football that we talk mad shit in.
So the Browns are set up to start the playoffs as a top wildcard team ahead of the Jags, Texans, and Colts because they've already beat those 3 teams this season. They could, that's a bold prediction, Rick. I'm not gonna lie. You're going with a team playing their backup. That's a huge slap in the face to Jake Browning and everything he's accomplished this year. I'm just saying
3-3 right now.
No, he's like 4-1. He's been going up. He started 2 or 3-0, including wins against the Jags.
Yeah.
There were some tough wins in there. Jake Browning, dude. What? You love Jake Browning. I thought we agreed on this.
No, and I do, but it's he has not been the same since that 3-0 start he had. And it's they're not going to make the playoffs. They're just not. And I don't know. To me, it's Stefanski's just going to outcoach them. We talk about Vrabel, we talk about Belichick, we talk about Tomlin. Outcoaching, I think Stefanski's getting up there. With what he's done this year, I think he's getting up there. I don't think it's a slap in the face, more or less. I think it's just
being dramatic.
Okay, fine. Fine. I won't say what I was going to say. Which I was
no.
In the face.
Oh God, no.
But like lovingly.
Yeah. You know how I like it. All right, I know what you like. You
Let's
like
go.
to talk about the NFC North because you're an
You
NFC
want to
North
talk
guy.
mothers?
You want to talk mothers? The Lions are playing the Vikings. Dan Campbell said the Detroit Lions will play all their starters in this game, but that doesn't guarantee that they'll play the whole game. If they do, though, Detroit could realistically probably run straight over the Vikings. Like,
Yes.
the way I look at the Lions, I mean, we did our top 5 2 days ago. You know where I have the Lions. The Vikings have lost 5 of their last 6 games while playing musical chairs at quarterback. And I'm going to go with the Lions here. This is it. We've had some hard weeks. I haven't had to make one tough decision yet today, personally, going through these games. I'll take the Lions by a touchdown. Oh, Nick Mullins will return as the Vikings starting quarterback.
I was going to say.
He passed for 411 yards against the Lions, and then they benched him because fucking Kevin O'Connell's an idiot. And then they threw him back in the game at halftime, and all we saw what could have been a good game with the Packers had he played the whole game. So, yeah, I see that side of it. But if Dan Campbell's playing the starters, to me, that's because he is one of those coaches that believes in momentum and going into the playoffs feeling really good. And the Lions started the year really well, but there was some ups and downs in that middle portion where they lost a couple games in a row and everyone was worried. And then they won a couple, but they've won 2 in a row. I really think Dan's thinking, like, if we get this win, we forgot about all that other stuff. I think it's just about morale and going into the playoffs with momentum. And he's not going to pull the starters out of the game if they haven't achieved that, I think.
Yeah, I feel that. And Andy, we'll see you next time, man. Thanks for stopping by. O'Connell is kind of an idiot. Yes, a little bit. What I will say is, oh God, this. So you said Nick Mullins was going to start, and I'm now leaning more towards Vikings. I really am. Even with the Lions for sure starting some of those guys, I think at the end of the day, with Nick Mullins and the Vikings being out, they're going to see what they got in all these guys. They're going to just try to go out there, not necessarily play spoiler, but play for a win, right? Like play for a win. I think maybe at the end of the day, I still go Lions. This is kind of a tough one. It's so funny because you're like, this is also like you haven't made a tough decision all day, and I feel like this for both of us is a little bit like, which way do we want to go, right? Nick Mullins is starting, and God, I don't know, dude. I really don't know. This one is I have the Lions. Fuck it, I'll go Lions. I'll get the Lions winning, and they are at home, I believe, right? Or are they in? Are they?
That was so funny. I could tell that they're in.
Detroit.
They're in Detroit. I could tell that you're struggling with this.
Yeah, this was a tough one, dude. What I don't want to happen is Dan Campbell saying all this stuff, and he goes and starts, and then something bad happens. I'm not even going to say it. I'm just saying something bad happens.
Yeah.
Then you're looking at Dan Campbell like, dude, this entire season, he has made some bad decisions. Whether in game, after games, this might be one of them last week. You know what I mean? Like there's been some bad decisions being made by Dan Campbell as a head coach. And while sometimes it works and you look like the fucking greatest guy on earth, the times it doesn't, man, it's just like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You almost had that realization as a Lions fan. So I think it's tough to be a Lions fan right now with Dan Campbell as a head coach, but I'm going Lions.
I think it would be awesome to be a Lions fan right now. Your team's one of the hottest teams in the NFC. And Dan Campbell's made a couple of questionable decisions, but he also has this team with 11 wins, I believe, or maybe 12 right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, I mean, they've won a lot of football games. They haven't done a lot of losing. And like I was talking about it yesterday about that 2-point conversion. As soon as that penalty was called, they should have kicked the extra point. But it's like when it works, we praise him. And when it doesn't, we're like, that was questionable. And
it just sucks. It's such a shitty feeling. That's why.
Yeah. And it's part of the game. I do have here. There's a couple scenarios here. So this is what it would take for the number 3 Lions to play the Rams in the first round, since the Rams already clinched. The Vikings win and or Eagles win or the Cowboys win. So this is this scenario seems pretty reasonable. And the only reason I bring it up so early is because I think it's a really quick glimpse. There's one more game where we know the playoff matchup, I think, but this is one Lions would end up playing the Rams. And that would be an awesome game, I think. Jared Goff, revenge game.
Matthew
Sean
Stafford.
McVay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot going on there. So just thought we would look ahead because that looks fun as hell.
That would be cool.
All right. This is the most boring game we're going to talk about today. This is
not going to sugarcoat it.
This could be Bill Belichick's last game as a New England Patriots head coach. So let's not skip over it too quick.
Yep.
I don't think it is. I think regardless of his future, that the Patriots to me look like a team that is playing really hard every week. They beat Denver 2 weeks ago. They're not a great team, but they're not a poorly coached team, in my opinion. They just need more talent. They got to stop settling for guys, that are Jags. They don't have Tom Brady anymore. And how quick is Bill Belichick going to adjust his style, I think is going to dictate a lot. But I don't know if he's gone or not. But this game, potentially, it could be his last game as a Patriots head coach, which is crazy. The Patriots offense is bottom tier. They've been bottom tier all season long. The defense continues to be rock solid. Belichick's defense could carry this team to a victory. And I'm going to say that it does. I got the Patriots.
Yeah, I this one, like you said, dude, this one is going to be a fucking snoozer. Like, I feel like red zone is going to go to it maybe a couple times because that's how many touchdowns are probably going to be scored in this game entirely. And yeah, I got the home team. I've got the Patriots. I got Bill Belichick in his possible last home game as a Patriots head coach.
He's one loss away from tying the most regular season defeats by a head coach in NFL history.
Really? No
Shocking,
idea.
Right?
Yeah, and he's close to I think all-time wins as head coach in the regular season or just overall.
I think
wins?
he already has that. Yeah, I think
he was like second or third right now. He passed someone up earlier this season.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he had passed somebody up, but yeah, I didn't know that. And the Jets, dude, like the Jets are just waiting for next season. The Jets are waiting for next season. That is literally what's going on right now. They're done. Salah and the GM are coming back. So at least you have some sort of continuity there if you're a Jets fan, but you almost kind of hate it. But you get Aaron Rodgers back next season. So that's exciting. It's
huge.
It's huge. It's only depends now whether Nathaniel Hackett stays. And if he does, how will the offense look? Because 5 games into next season, and I know I'm already getting ahead of myself next season with the Jets, but you go 5 games into next season and this offense looks just as it does, even with Aaron Rodgers, Nathaniel Hackett's getting fucking out of there, man. Like they are going to kill that guy. So, but yeah, Patriots at home. It's probably going to be like a 14-6 game, 14-9 game. I don't know, man. Patriots are going to win.
The all-time win list, including playoffs, this will be actively updated. Okay, they're letting us know this is updated. Don Shula, 347. Bill Belichick, 333.
Gotcha.
So he's number 2. And he could, depending on how good they are next year, if they can get 14 wins, they could break it next year, but they won't.
Yeah. They won't.
They won't. Let's just be real about this one. They're going to be bad for a long time. Unless they change the way they do everything. So
everything.
I'm super jacked about this one. I'm glad we went over that game pretty quick because that was a boring one. But this one is playoff game. This is a playoff game.
Yep.
You could argue that this contest is one of the best ones on the schedule this week. We knew it was going to come down to this. We said it like 7 weeks ago.
Yeah, definitely the early slate too, for sure.
Yeah, definitely for the early slate. This is definitely a must-watch early slate game. The Saints have a more stable quarterback with Derek Carr, and they have one of the league's best home field advantages on their back. That might help the Saints in this game. Alvin Kamara is in danger of missing this game, which would make New Orleans not as explosive offensively. Not that Alvin Kamara's had a great game or anything, but being without one of your best weapons is not a good thing. And the Atlanta Falcons are coming off a 37-17 beatdown in Chicago. Where was that at?
Chicago.
In Chicago. They played with a bunch of different.
What was that?
I was just trying to give you some pride. Your team.
Oh, okay. I was like, I didn't know where that was going.
Oh no, I thought you were gonna be like Chicago, baby.
I thought you wanted me to say something. We were so confused there.
It's all right. I'll clip it. Yeah. Taylor Heineke is the current starter. Atlanta is going to beat New Orleans.
Wow. You're calling a Falcons dub.
I am.
You're calling a Falcon. You want to talk
Mother, dude. This was my preseason prediction. Atlanta wins the division. How much of a coward would I be to get this close and be like, you know what, Saints? I made it to week 18. I made it to week 18 and it looked rough. That prediction looked really rough at certain points this season. Yeah. But here we are. And what do you think, Rick? Who's going to win this game? I'm assuming you're going to say Saints because you didn't like, or you were shocked when I said Falcons.
I was a little shocked. The Saints are at home. You know, you talked about Derek Carr being there. It's a little bit more stable. They had a really good win last week. And yeah, man, I got to go Saints too, because they're at home. They know what's on the line. What sucks is that your coaching staff, if they win, are going to get like the praise for this, as well as the players, obviously, as they should. And they really shouldn't. But that's what's going to happen. I think the Saints are going to win at home against the Falcons. The Falcons' key to this game, though, for sure, is to keep feeding Bijan Robinson, keep getting it to Drake London and Kyle Pitts. It just seems to be the same thing we've been saying all fucking year. Get it to your goddamn stars. And with Heineke, at least Heineke's able to, I don't know, maybe get it to them a little bit more. He is coming off a bad game against Chicago, but the Bears defense over the last 6-7 weeks has been outstanding. The Saints defense is very, very good as well. So they might have some trouble there, whether or not it's Heineke or Ritter. And I think that is going to be kind of the downfall there is the Saints quarterback play, the Atlanta quarterback play, which again has also been an issue we've talked about all fucking year too, is not getting it to your superstars and just the quarterback play has just been bad. It has just been bad because it's been dog shit. Because you find yourself in a situation like this, and you look at last week against the Bears. Again, the Bears defense is very, very good, but you gotta protect the ball a little bit. Those interceptions from Heineke and from Desmond Ritter were bad. They were just bad interceptions. They didn't even need to happen. They were just bad interceptions. So I don't know. It's a lot of this is going to fall on Heineke if they lose, and Arthur Smith with the coaching, depending on what kind of game plan he draws up for the offense with Bijan and with Drake London. But yeah, I got the Saints winning this, man. I think Derek Carr is going to be able to pull his team together, get that motivation that he's very good at with the team, just bringing them together for this. And unfortunately, he's going to bring in Dennis Allen some sort of glory by winning this game and getting into the playoffs. So I got the Saints winning at home.
Do you think Derek Carr, because he's hot right now, do you think this could be...
He's hot all the time.
No, he's not. Come on. But no, do you think Derek Carr could be an actual... do you think the Saints could anyway become a team that you don't want to play if Derek Carr goes out and throws for 350 again and Chris Olave has 2 touchdowns and all of a sudden they got the Superdome because guess what? They're hosting their playoff game because they're a division winner. So
that's if the Bucks lose, right?
Yeah. So the Bucks,
I think that's what it is,
Tampa
right?
Cannot be the 7th seed. Atlanta and the Saints can either be the 4th seed or completely out.
7.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So only the Atlanta and the Saints can be the 7th seed. Okay. Now there's only 4 scenarios for the Saints and Atlanta to be the number 7 seed. And hold on one second. Here it is. So the Vikings, there's only 4 scenarios where they get in as a 7 seed out of 64 different scenarios. And of those 4, it just requires a ton of teams to lose. I won't even name them because by the time I get through, you're not going to remember. But if you're a Saints fan, you already know what's up. But
yeah,
I'm just saying that the Saints could lose this game and be in the playoffs. But if they win this game and the Panthers beat Tampa, then Tampa would be eliminated from the playoffs because they cannot be a 7 seed. And that would mean the Saints win their
division. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Where the Bucks right now have a 1-game lead on the Saints.
I think they do, but I also think they're in terms of just record. I do believe they have the same record. It all depends on the division, what they have there. And let me take a look. So they are, Bucks and Saints 8-8 record. In terms of division, they're both 3-2. So Bucks need a win, Saints need a win. They're both in the playoffs, so they can both win. And obviously the Saints need just a little bit of help from other teams, I believe. But Bucks lose, Saints win. You're right, like you said, Saints are going to be division winners. And if they, like you said, if they host a playoff game, can they be dangerous? Yeah, I think they could be, man. They've got some players on their squad. They've got Chris Olave, Juwan Johnson, Moreau. Their tight ends have been pretty damn good these last few weeks. And, you can't forget about Alvin Kamara either. Like, he's still a weapon. He did get injured last week, and I believe he is on the injury report going into week 18.
Don't forget they have Jamal Williams. He led the NFL in rushing touchdowns last year.
Exactly. Like, they have weapons. They've got ways to maneuver these guys to be able to be a dangerous team, like a Cleveland Browns or a Bills or something like that in the NFC playoffs. Can the coaching make them, though? I think that's the bigger question, right? Like, they have weapons. They can do it on their own as players. It's the coaching staff. It really is up to them whether or not that will be the case going forward. And I think the coaching staff is kind of what holds them back from being that really like dangerous actual wild card type of team. And I don't think it matters whether they win the division or go in as a wild card. I think they're a first round exit if they do get in there.
No matter what.
Matter what.
I kind of feel that way about every team in the NFC South, but wanted to see where you were at.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
All right, so the Arizona Cardinals are welcoming in the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks got beat really bad last week to the Steelers. They couldn't stop the running game, and Geno Smith and Seattle couldn't find their passing game until the game was already over. This could be the worst defense of Pete Carroll's 14-year tenure with the Seahawks. They've always had a really good defense, not this year. This is a bad defense. They allowed 202 more ground yards in last Sunday's home loss to the Steelers. 202. That's a fuck ton. Carroll was pissed off about it. He said it in Seattle sports radio. He said, we didn't tackle as well as we needed to. We didn't pursue properly on some stuff, and we got exposed on the edge, and it just looked crappy.
Crappy.
Right, it did. and now the Seahawks visit the Cardinals, who have gone past 220 yards rushing in 2 of their last 3 weeks. And James Conner's playing good ball right now. Kyler Murray, I think that they just flipped some kind of switch and they beat Philly. And that was not nothing. And you are crazy if you don't think Philly, that was their nightmare losing that game. They were trying so hard to not lose that game and they couldn't. I think Arizona might have turned a corner, coaching, quarterbacking, all of it. And I think they really put the exclamation mark on their season being turned around going into next year with playing spoiler and beating the Seahawks at home.
I feel the same way. I've got the Cardinals winning this one at home, and it has been their offense and Gannon there. The Eagles offensive coordinator. They're coming off of Eagles win, man. That's a big win for them. And like you said, they want to play spoiler. This is your interdivisional rival that if they beat you, they have a very solid chance at the playoffs. And if you beat them, you keep them out. I would love to have that opportunity to keep a team out, which I think I do. Do I? We'll talk about it later.
But
I do. But I
You want
do
to talk
think
Bounders.
you want to talk about it. I do see the Cardinals winning this game. You said it, man. The Seahawks defense last week gave up over 200 yards of rushing, and James Conner, the Arizona Cardinals running back, is a fucking monster. It sucks that
Boston College.
It sucks that James Conner and Kyler Murray could not have been on this Cardinals team at the start of this season, because they with Gannon there, not Rich Gannon. I keep saying Rich Gannon. With Gannon there, like they would. Is it Rich Gannon? Hold on, I'm gonna look it up.
No, it's not Rich Gannon. It's
head coach Jonathan Gannon. Jonathan Gannon. Sorry, with Jonathan Gannon there. And them, both of those guys starting at the beginning of the season, this could be a completely different Arizona team. This Arizona team could be close to where the Rams are. Like, they could be in second place right now. Obviously that didn't happen, but that's how well I think this coaching staff. That's what I mean. Yeah, if Kyler Murray wasn't injured,
do you really believe that though?
If he would have been healthy with James Conner and all them,
if like the team was healthy, do you think that they would have been playing like how they're playing now all season, or do you think it still would have took time?
I could definitely see them being somewhat like a Texans team, where you're almost like surprised. Yes, they have a veteran quarterback and a veteran running back, but they have a rookie head coach who, going into this year after losing DeAndre Hopkins in the offseason, right? You're just like, this team is going to be shit. And then they surprise you with what they've been able to do, right? Trey McBride at tight end has been awesome for Kyler Murray. He's been like his best favorite target. I think all season, you're looking at something similar to what the Texans have done, where you're just like surprised, and similar also to like another divisional opponent in the West, the Rams. You're kind of like, holy shit, these guys are surprising me. So I unfortunately, as much as I want to see the Seahawks in the playoffs, because it'd be awesome content to go down to Seattle for me. I think the Cardinals are going to win it and the Seahawks are going to be out of the playoffs. I think they're done. I think they're done for.
Yeah. Thought I was special.
You're not. You're not. This is what's wrong with today's generation.
My mom told me I'm special. So did my teachers, actually. It was a compliment. Plus 2.5. So the Cardinals are 2.5 point underdogs at home. Probably because the Seahawks have so much to play for and the Cardinals don't.
Pete Carroll, though, the head coach, he could probably do it, though.
And I'm just gonna be honest about this. Like, Kyler Murray's gone through a lot of injuries, and if I were the head coach for the Cardinals, I'm not sure if I would start him, because
really
he got injured week 17 last year, week 16.
Yeah, it was pretty 18. Close to the end of the season.
So that's why, like, we're so used to being a player gets hurt during the season, he's ready for next season. But we've hit the point in the season like 4 weeks ago where if a player gets a serious injury, it does roll over. You miss training camp, you miss all for what? I wonder that about a lot of players. Like, what Broncos shouldn't play Surtain. Who cares if we beat the Raiders? I mean, it's a meaningless game, and the risk just doesn't outweigh the award, because there's no award. Like, there's nothing.
There's nothing. Yeah.
Are you surprised that Carolina's going with their start, or the Cardinals are going with Kyler Murray?
I mean, a little bit, but also I'm sure Kyler Murray wants to go out there and play. I'm sure, Jonathan Gannon wants to see what he has in these guys. Again, it's a meaningless game, like you said, and they've already secured a pretty decent pick in the draft. I'm a little surprised, but really it's a rookie coach. A quarterback's come back from injury. You guys are playing pretty well together. You kind of want to keep that going into the off season and improve on that. So a little bit surprised, but not like totally caught off guard or anything like that.
Okay. And my freaking mouse died while I was. Yeah, I got him at PetSmart, and I've been hanging out with him.
I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's like I just disappear from the stream like with that. I have a pet mouse. Internet breaks. Yeah, no, I was hoping. I was like, come on, charge, because I got to be able to click shit. Okay, so moving on to our next game. We're gonna stay in the 4 o'clock window. Actually, Rick.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that we had a deal last year.
We
that
did.
If a certain thing happened, a certain thing would happen.
Certain thing happened, baby.
And that certain thing is that you will be. Let me have this moment. No, I don't blame you. The Green Bay Packers and Bears are playing. Now, you could care less that you're wearing Packers green. What is really important to you is that the Bears are going to spoil the Packers in this game. And that's what you've been saying all day. The Bears are playing real good football. What, they won 6 of 7? Jeez.
On a roll, baby.
They're on a roll. And do you hear the Chicago Bears fans chanting Justin Fields? We want Fields. We want
Fields. Yeah.
And then they asked Justin Fields about it, and he said that it was a moment he'll never forget.
Yeah.
And I believed him. Justin Fields is playing really good ball right now. And that defense with Montez Sweat, it's hard to pick. It's hard to go against them right now. And last year, Green Bay was in a very similar situation. They win, and they're in. And guess what? They lost. They could not get the job done. And there's already something about playing spoiler, but when you're playing spoiler and it's a divisional rivalry, this is crazy. Jordan Love completed 24 of 33 attempts last week for 256 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 picks. It's worth mentioning that since Christian Watson has been out, Jaden Reed.
Yeah.
He has been a monster. He had 2 touchdowns in the first half, maybe, or the third quarter. But the Jordan Love, I was watching him play. He looked awesome. He looked better than anything Denver's had on the field this year. He was making throws like that. There was this one play that stands out to me, and it was a full on blitz coming. He snapped the ball. He saw the blitz and was like, just flung it like 40 yards. And it was a perfect. So he knew, like, okay, they're blitzing. I know who's open. He's fast here in the head. Yeah. And that's where younger quarterbacks typically struggle, is trying to catch up to the speed of the game and all that. Jordan Love seems like a vet when I watch him play with what he knows. And I only think he's getting better as the season progresses. Like, I understand wanting to for believing that the Bears win here, but Green Bay is a 3-point favorite in this game, and they are going to be the home team. So Bears are going to go into Lambeau Field to try to get a really important win, and I think it's going to be a bloodbath. I only used that word once last year. I'm going to use it once this year. Love is going to face a Chicago Bears defense that wants to beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And just Jordan Love is going to want to say, hey, I'm taking over ownership. Aaron Rodgers is gone now. And now it's me. And this is my era. And there's a lot on this game, man.
Yes,
like when you really zoom out and look at it, it almost gives me chill bumps. Chicago's won 4 of its last 5. It's 2 or 3 plays away from a 7-game win streak. I don't care about those losses. The Bears are playing really great right now. I could see 23-20 Bears, but I'm going to go 23-20 Packers.
Oh, you son of a bitch. You're a naysayer. You're a non-believer.
I don't like this spot that I'm in right now.
Kyle's also a native Wisconsinite, so I get it.
Dude, you saw that picture I sent you. I was 3 years old in that picture.
Yeah.
By the way,
their family is Packers fans, so I get it.
I'm gonna just pull it up on the screen really quick. So this is the picture. That's my mom, my dad. I photoshopped my dad with Tim McGraw's head. Hold on.
What the fuck?
But that's my mom, and that's little Kyle.
Yeah, there's little Kyle, that fucking devil.
You're not wrong. Little munchkin, little monster. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Packers here. They're at home, and Lambeau's tough to play. And Jordan Love's just came off that great game, and Packers are playing for more.
Yeah, and look, I have been very complimentary of Jordan Love and his weapons, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, the Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, right? Like I've been very like they're good. They have some good stuff brewing there with Young. They're all coming up at the same time. They're building that great connection. So they're going to be a tough out, like regardless, right? Like whether they were in the playoffs or not, or going to try to be in the playoffs. And the defense for the Packers, again, they had a great game last week, but overall, they've been shit. They've been dog shit. So that to me is one of the biggest reasons why I think the Bears are going to go into Lambeau and win. Now, we look back at week 1 where we thought at Soldier Field, the Bears were finally going to be like, we're taking this dub. It's no longer Aaron Rodgers. It's Jordan Love. This isn't the same Packers team. They got embarrassed week 1. They got fucking embarrassed in week 1. And that was literally the downfall of this season to me. Week 1 against the Packers was like, oh, well, there goes the fucking season, right? It felt that way. Obviously, we weren't thinking that, but it felt that way 100%. Week 18
that sucks.
Packers,
week 1.
The Packers find themselves in the same situation they found themselves last year. And really that's on them, right? Like they are the ones to be blamed, just like the Bears are to be blamed for the shitty season they've had, for the decisions they've made. I think week 18, man, the Bears play spoiler. They play spoiler fucking great. I'm not saying this is going to be a blow up by the Bears. I am saying it's going to be maybe like a 3 to 7 point game, something like that. It's going to be close as shit. And I think the Bears win it on a game-winning drive with Justin Fields in Lambeau Field, dude. I think they're gonna fucking win it on a game-winning drive in Lambeau Field in the late slate in the PM. DJ Moore has had a fucking amazing season, and we will talk about DJ Moore a little bit later. Justin Fields has been playing really, really well as of recently. He needs to just get away from those mistakes he made, overthrowing wide open guys, not running when he's supposed to. Making bad decisions just in general. Like he needs to get away from that stuff. He has not been doing a lot of that recently, but there are times where he's overthrowing Mooney, where he's overthrowing his running back. He's not getting the screen off on time, things like that. The defense for the Bears is going to make Jordan Love run away all day. They're going to be on his ass. They are going to be on his ass all day and night, white on rice type shit, baby. Montez Sweat, 2 sacks in this game. 1 interception in this game. I don't know who I'm going to go with. I don't know if
all right, calm down.
I don't know if I'm going Edmonds. I don't know if I'm going Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, Brisker. Baby boy, it's going down in Lambeau. It's going down in Lambeau. And if you saw what Justin Fields said, he's like, yeah, there's going to be a lot of eyes watching in Green Bay. Not a lot to do other than watch football. And I loved it. Time. It should, but the Bills and Dolphins.
He's not wrong.
That's also.
And if you're from Wisconsin, you're not insulted by that. You're like, yeah, that's pretty much all we do. We watch football
a lot. It's gonna be it's gonna be a fucking great game, man. And I really do think the Bears are gonna come out on top. I'm gonna go maybe 27-24. It's gonna be that close of a game. 27-24 Bears. They get the week 18 and they take the fucking Packers out of the playoffs. Like I said in my short, bye-bye. Wave bye-bye to the playoffs, Packers. Wave bye-bye.
I'm going to change my score to 20-22 Packers. And I think it's going to get a little weird. And also, Justin and Jordan both have the same amount of letters in them, which is 7. So if there's 7 touchdowns scored, that's 42 points, 20-22 final score. Am I crazy?
You're a little crazy.
Justin and Jordan have 7 letters, 7 touchdowns, 49.
Jordan only has 6.
What's up? What are we doing here? Let's just move on. It's going to be a great game. They should have put it on primetime, to be honest, but there's another game that's taken that spot. And
it's my game of the week, by the way. Game of the week.
Yep. That's Rick's game of the week. I already knew that was going to be your game of the week.
You goddamn right, Bears.
So let's get right into Rick's game of the week. Let's
get into it.
I'm going to say something that's really, really sad.
Oh, no.
The Denver Broncos haven't beaten the Raiders since they moved to Las Vegas.
Ooh. What? What?
Now, in this, both these teams don't have much to play for. Pride, of course. Sean Payton said that he was going to play the starters. He was like, you can't sit them all. And it's like, no, not them all, but like Surtain.
Come on.
The Raiders defense is one of the league's most overachieving units since Antonio Pierce took over as head coach. And I do think he probably has done enough already to earn the job next year. The Raiders are 4-4 under Pierce, which is actually remarkable because Aidan O'Connell has started each of those games. O'Connell is going to have his hands full, though, against this Denver Broncos defense. That is nasty. Jared Stidham took over for Russ last week. We made a whole video about it, and it was a business decision, as Sean says. But I think he's moving off Russ for good, and this is just one more opportunity for us to see what is Jared Stidham. And based on how he plays in this game, could be the difference between who's starting week 1 next year for us. The Raiders have more talent on offense with their weapons, but the Broncos defense, I think, is going to once again drive this team to another win. And I think Denver wins this game. I'm going to say 30-14.
What? That's huge. That's a big number for the Denver offense right there.
This is a wishful, like, I have nothing. It's the last game, dude. It's my last game.
Fuck it. Hail Mary.
Yeah, I'm just like, you know what? I have to wait 9 more months to make a Denver Broncos prediction.
I know.
That's gut-wrenching.
That is. Now that you think about it, I'm like, oh fuck, I'm not gonna be able to watch a Bears game for another 9 months. Like you said, like this sucks. Well, so much for that.
Yeah, what a shitty ass deal. Like, oh, let me give you something you love so much for 4 months and take it away for 9. It's like, or 3, or yeah. We only have 4 months of football, really.
Yeah.
When you think about it, September, October,
November, December, 2 weeks in January.
You and I have 4 months. Chiefs fans, they get like 6.
Yeah. I like.
Go ahead. Tell me what.
I was gonna say I like Nick's prediction here more. Broncos win 12-6. But unfortunately, Kyle, and this has nothing to do with you picking the Packers. I just want to preface with saying that.
I know it is.
No, it's not. It really isn't. In my notes, I already had the Raiders winning this game. I swear. Stidham sitting some people, not sitting some people. I think the Raiders and Antonio Pierce want to make this a rivalry game worth remembering, for his coaching tenure. Is, if it does end this Sunday or if it continues, he wants to make this one special. And I think the Raiders do end up getting the win. I think it's a little closer because, like you said, the Denver Broncos defense is pretty damn good. And I think with Aidan O'Connell at quarterback, they can get to him. They can pressure him. They can have him. They can make him have a game where he doesn't throw maybe past the first quarter, something like that. I think that can happen. But I just offensively, you look at the talent on the Raiders side. They got way more weapons. They got Devontae Adams. They got Josh Jacobs. They got Jacoby Myers, like Matt Mayers, whatever the fuck his name is. Like they got a ton of weapons offensively. Cortland Sutton, Jacoby Myers. Is Cortland Sutton healthy? I know he missed last week, right?
I don't know if they're gonna play him because it's like this last week. It's every coach. Everything's so like, who knows, Yeah, and really, Cortland Sutton is your best guy, your best wide receiver. You've got some guys that are, up and coming, it seems like, but it just like Jerry Jeudy's not really a guy. The running game has struggled quite a bit for the Denver side, and Jarrett Stidham at quarterback, man. I know Sean and you have and Broncos fans across the country have some faith in him. I just don't think he's that good. I really don't think he's going to be that good in this game. In the future, though, maybe he might be, like you said, he might be an answer to benching Russ. But for me, I'm going Raiders, and especially at home, last home game of the season for them. They're going to want to beat a division rival, one of the better rivalries in football, Raiders Broncos. So I have to go Raiders.
Kyle, I'm sorry. You know I love the Broncos.
I know. That's just how it is sometimes. Cortland Sutton was a limited participant in his most recent practice, the Denver Broncos Week 18 contest against the Raiders. His status is looking like he's going to play unless Sean just decides not to play him. But he is practicing, which is a sign towards playing. But we'll see what Sean wants to do. Those are tough decisions to make.
Yeah.
So, all right. Moving on to more actually meaningful football in a way, because I got to double click it. Okay. What the fuck?
Why
did you keep saying
Kyle?
Raiders versus Broncos?
What did you do, Kyle?
Says, I'm clicking 49ers. Oh, that's a ticker.
It's a ticker.
God damn it.
Cut. Welcome to the Only Football Podcast.
It's a live stream. You know, a lot of people's favorite YouTubers, they never live stream unless it's a game. We bring these recap videos on a live stream. That's not easy to do every single week forever. And I wear that as a badge of honor. So when we make a little mistake like that, whatever.
You guys get it. You guys
get it. The 49ers clinched the number 1 seed in the NFC, which means the Niners could rest all their starters. Sam Darnold has been named the starting quarterback. So I think it's reasonable to expect that there's going to be several players that are going to be limited or resting altogether. The Rams are in a similar position. They've already clinched a wild card spot. But if they lose this game and the Packers beat Chicago, which probably is going to happen. I'm just kidding.
Wow.
That was an evil laugh. The Rams would fall from the 6th seed to the 7th. Regardless of that shift, Carson Wentz will start this game while the Los Angeles is expected to rest several other key players. I don't know, man. I don't bet on this game. This is
don't touch it.
Don't touch it. Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know how to make a prediction. Like, both teams don't have anything to play for. I'll take the Rams.
Okay, you're going Rams. I'm going 49ers at home. And it's going to be
no CMC, Wentz. No Debo. No Brock Purdy. No Trent Williams.
I'm going 49ers at home. Kyle Shanahan.
Let's go, baby.
We got E-Dub in the chat, baby.
Hell yeah.
What's up? Happy New Year to you, E-Dub.
Happy New Year.
Kyle Shanahan, another one of those coaches who can make Sam Darnold look fucking great and phenomenal. And Sam Darnold, he hasn't been used a lot this year. He had limited time when Brock Purdy was out there for a bit with an injury. I think he's probably one of the better backups, that you can have, Sam Darnold. And with Carson Wentz too, like, not a bad backup to have. This guy has been on winning teams. This guy has started for a few teams here and there. Like, this guy, not a bad backup. So this is going to be
not a good starter.
Not a good starter. Not a bad backup. But
in this game, he won't be a backup. He'll be a starter.
That was only jokes with only football. I just do that's getting clipped. I do like this just kind of like blast to the past of Wentz and Darnold. That's like former first rounders or whatever the fuck it is. Like, something like this.
About that.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun game, but like you said, man, it's tough to make a case for either of these teams because I'm assuming, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Kyren Williams, a lot of these guys are either going to play very limited roles or they're just not going to be in the game at all. So it is tough to go one way or the other. At this point, I'm just going with the home team, man. Like, we've seen what the Rams are without, a healthy Matthew Stafford, with a backup in, with no Kyren Williams. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp will still ball. But we've seen the Rams the way they've played without those guys, and it's a completely different team, really, when you look at it, right? Like, they didn't really go on their hunt for the playoffs until Kyren Williams came back from that injury, and all of a sudden he is running wild. And yes, Matthew Stafford was able to hold it down before then, but when Kyren Williams come back, it's like, oh my God, this offense is just outstanding. But for me, I'm going home team. I'm going 49ers and Kyle Shanahan. Like you said, no CMC, Brock Purdy, this, it doesn't matter. I just think none of these teams are going to play their starters. They're both going to be in the playoffs come the end of week 18. And Yeah, I got 49ers at home, man. I got nothing. Don't touch it. Don't look at it. Watch the game, but don't look at it or touch it. That's what I got to say about that. And that's all I got to say about that.
And that's all I got to say about that. The 2013 Washington coaching staff. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Robert
I
Griffin
love
III.
this.
Quarterback coach, Matt LaFleur.
Mm-hmm.
Offensive coordinator, Kyle Shanahan. Tight end coach, Sean McVay. Oh, talk about too much talent, too much sauce. That is ridiculous, dude. I don't know how they didn't win a Super Bowl. Probably because they're in Washington.
Commanders fans
the
are
wrong
like,
Washington.
Shut up already.
So, I mean, there's a history between these two guys, and they're in the same division, and including the playoffs. Kyle Shanahan's 9-4 against Sean McVay. They've kind of had Kyle Shanahan has his number. It's safe to say. So I guess when in doubt, I'm going to change my pick. I'll go with the 49ers at home.
Let's go.
I'm going to jump ship here. And I think he's maybe the better coach. I don't know. These are really two good coaches, and McVay has a Super Bowl and Shanahan doesn't. So
that's true. That's true.
We'll see. But I
think maybe he could shine it in his eye from across the sidelines, from across the field.
Blind him with his Super Bowl ring.
Blind him with his Super Bowl ring. Yeah,
that's rough. That's rough. Imagine you and I like get jobs being head coaches on two different teams, and then we play each other.
Broncos Super Bowl.
Yeah, and then we play each other, and I come out to shake your hand pregame. And I got this fucking rock on my hand.
Why do you have the rock? Why don't I have the rock? I'm the NFC team.
Well, in my imagination, I was the one that won it. But it could be you with the rock. Okay, we can switch. You have the Super Bowl ring, and I don't.
Okay. Oh, and that's awesome.
And I'm super, super salty about it. I'm like, bitch. I do one of those where we like shake hands, and then I like say something like, how they whisper so no one can hear.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're a bitch for wearing that. You're an asshole, right? Good game.
And then I whisper back, ha, 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 ha,
ha. You want to touch it? No, don't even look at it.
Don't even look at it. Yeah.
AFC West Showdown. Kansas City Chiefs going on the road to play the Chargers. Kansas City's in a position to rest their starters because they've locked into the number 3 seed. No matter what happens, Blaine Gabbert will replace Patrick Mahomes in this contest. Last year, Patrick Mahomes' backup did need to come in for a playoff game, and all he did was go on a 99-yard touchdown drive. Chad Henne, I believe it was.
Chad Henne.
Wait, was it Chad Henne?
Yeah, it was.
It was Chad Henne, right? Yeah.
Yep. Not
this year. It's going to be Blaine Gabbert, which is kind of like the same thing in a way. Yeah. Still, the Justin Herbert-less Los Angeles Chargers are very beatable. The Chargers have lost all 4 games that Easton Stick has been. And I'm telling you right now, Easton Stick has been the Chargers quarterback for the last 4 weeks, not because they don't have a quarterback. It's because they want a high draft pick. They lost that game. They fired their head coach, and they put in the absolute worst quarterback that they could possibly put in so they could lose all their games. And it's working. Yeah. The biggest advantage for the Chargers is that Khalil Mack and safety Derwin James are practicing with no restrictions right now. But I don't know. Take the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm also taking the Chiefs. Week 18, unless it's like a playoff type of game, like or you're playing spoiler, it's kind of like a toss-up, really, when you look at these games like this, games like the Jets and the Patriots, for example. Like these are just toss-ups where we're doing it. I'm taking the team that's been better, and that's playing Easton Stick at quarterback. I'm going with the Chiefs too, man. I'm going with the Chiefs to take down the Chargers at home. Unfortunately, the Chargers are going to end on the worst note they can, a loss at home. And like you said, they're playing for draft status.
There's going to be nobody in the in that stadium.
It's going to be pretty empty, but I feel like there will be people because of how cheap it is. And if you want to find a cheap game, go to a Panthers game too, because 45 cents, $4, whatever it was, go to that game. Yeah, I got the Chiefs, whether it's Blaine Gabbert, whether it's Chad Henne, whether it's Kyle from the Only Football Podcast. It doesn't matter. I think that the Chiefs are going to beat the Chargers unless the Chargers just have a ridiculous game. And look at
ready, set, 55.
Blue,
black, blue. 59 razor, black 59 razor. I don't know what that means. Would you just go stand on the other side of the ball, please?
Okay, sorry.
Green 18, no, red 7.
Red 7.
I don't know what that means.
Just move over there, please.
I can't breathe.
Hey, stop being a pussy. Every time I see you, you're on your ass. They're gonna think we're a bunch of pussies.
Crab cakes and football. That's what Maryland does.
I love when they chest bump and Vince Vaughn's just like got his belly out kind of and he's smiling like like enjoying their competitive nature. Like, all right.
Who are these fucking guys?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it for the AFC West. And week 18 is mostly divisional matchups, if not all. I think every game is a divisional matchup.
I think so.
I'm trying to go through really quick and see if there's anything that's not. Oh, Commanders, Cowboys.
No, that's NFC East.
Nope, they're in two different divisions.
Nope, you're wrong.
Let's just talk about that game anyway.
Yeah, let's do it.
The Dallas Cowboys, they're really good this year. Dak Prescott's playing at a really high level. The Commanders, not that great. If the Cowboys beat the Commanders, which is very likely that they do, they'll win the NFC East and finish as the NFC's number 2 seed. They can't get the number 1 seed. The Cowboys have two major advantages in this contest. First, Dak has massive upside against Washington's worst pass defense. We all get that. The Cowboys' pass rush will also have a major advantage against the Commanders' bottom-tier offensive line. So this could get super, super ugly. Dallas has a clear path to winning this game by probably, I'm going to say 20 points. Now the question is, why even play your starters if you're locked in at number 2? Because you have to win this game, right? That's why. Because if you don't win this game, then what happens? The Eagles could win and take the number 2 seed, right? If the Eagles win.
Actually, I believe regardless of who wins, well, if they both win, they both get they're both in, but if both the Cowboys and Eagles win, the Cowboys are going to come out with the divisional crown. They're both 11-5. Division wise, they're both 4-1. So actually, yes, that makes a big difference. If one of these teams lose, which, the Cowboys or the Eagles, one of these teams lose, it's going to be a divisional opponent. You all of a sudden have a worse divisional record, which puts you at that wild card spot. So yeah, both the Eagles and the Cowboys are actually playing for something weird. They're both in the playoffs already, but they're actually playing for something.
There's a lot of weird games like that.
Yeah, and hosting a playoff game. So I'm also taking the Cowboys in this one. You said 20. I'm fucking 30 points. I think I'm going 30 points. I don't see like.
You want to talk about?
I think by halftime, if they're winning by 3 scores, I think they pull all their starters, and they will put them back in if they need to. I think, but if they're winning by 3 scores in halftime, and it doesn't look like any sort of competition for the defense, I think they pull their starters, and I think Cowboys win by 30 fucking points, dude.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first.
Not much to talk about.
Fucking points. No, I totally agree with all that. There's really not much more to say.
No.
The Cowboys should win this game. Sam Howell's going to be the quarterback.
Yep.
I was watching First Take today, and Stephen A. Smith was somebody was like, he was like, Dallas is playing Sam Howell. And then they were like, hey, and he's like, what? Last time I checked, that is his name. All I said was Sam Howell.
Oh, God. Settle down, Kyle. Don't you fucking die on me. You piece of shit. Don't you die on me. That's hot. Low-key hot.
Swallowed my spit.
Kyle's crying how bad this game is going to end. That's how bad this game is going to end. Kyle's crying.
Anyway, the Cowboys, they're going to let me down again, man. All the Cowboys do is let me down every single year.
Where's your Micah Parsons jersey that you're going to throw in the trash? Where is that? It's a Kyle choking worse than the Niners against the Ravens.
So hard to be a Cowboys fan.
Oh, so hard.
Yeah, dude, I agree with you on all of that. So let's talk about the other two teams in this conference. As we just said, they're all important. All right. So the Giants are going to be at home. I don't know what you want to do, Bill, if you want to pause, plug your ears, but we have to talk about it. The Giants, look, Bill brought it up earlier, believe it or not, too.
He did, yeah.
He brought it up earlier. 40-0 is a lot of points. So they've already blown them out once, but Philly's had a lot of problems. No, the Cowboys blew them out.
Yeah, the Cowboys were week 1, 40-0.
Yeah, I got confused for a second. But
don't.
The Giants have one of the league's thinnest rosters right now. They no depth, not a ton of talent, changing their quarterback all the time. Tyrod Taylor nearly led the Giants to an upset win against the Rams last week, which I'm not going to just forget about that. That means something. And he came in on relief duty against the Eagles on Christmas, which gave the Giants offense a spark in that matchup as well. So we have seen Tyrod Taylor be the best quarterback the Giants have had all season long. It sucks that, they found him week 18 or week 17, but he's playing good ball, good enough to keep the Giants competitive. And the Eagles secondary, let's just call it what it is. It's a liability. They are not a good team.
Yeah.
They're a good team. They're not a great team right now. And if the Giants do upset Philly, Tyrod Taylor likely is a big reason for that. If he goes out there and has a good game, he could lead the Giants to victory, but keep in mind that the Giants offense is not great. So, it's like wish in one hand and shit in the other. But I don't know. As much as I try to talk myself out of this, I keep feeling this weird feeling. And the Eagles suffered a brutal loss to the Cardinals. That's definitely playing a factor. That pushed Philly out of the NFC East lead. The Eagles now need Dallas to lose to Washington to take back the lead in the division, as we just said. So because Philly and Dallas play both at 425, expect the Eagles to play their starters along with everybody else.
Yeah.
On Christmas, the Eagles ran all over the Giants. So it would be a surprise if they didn't run the ball heavily in this game. But it's not even about that. It's not about whether they need to play for seeding. Let's say that the Eagles were locked into the number 3 seed. Let's just say, well, no, because they would be a wild card. Let's say they locked at 6. A win or a loss can't move them. The Eagles still, I believe, need to play their starters because you can't just lose to the Cardinals at home and then rest your starters and go into the playoffs. Am I wrong about that? Like, don't you need to feel a little confidence going into this game or going into the playoffs? And the Giants are right here as an opportunity. And I think the Eagles are going to have a lot of the same deja vu moments that they had against the Cardinals, because the one thing the Cardinals and the Giants both have in common is that they're two thin rosters, not a lot of talent, that are very well coached. And that's the consistency. Sirianni, not ready to say that he's a great coach. I would take, if I had to start a team right now, I'm taking Dable over
the Bull.
Yeah. No, don't do that. You're the reason I can't fucking stay with it.
Dabble regular size of regular man.
No matter how I say it, he says it the other way. And I'm always like, What? I'm just gonna start calling him Brian. Okay, I'm gonna call him Coach B. No one's gonna know who I'm talking about. Okay, Brian Dable. He's the coach that I would go with if I was starting a team right now. I think he's the better coach, and I think even if the Giants out-coach the Eagles because of the talent and everything on the line, I think the Eagles could still win. I'm going to say the Eagles get the win, but it's a very similar situation. I'm going to say Eagles win 21-20.
Okay. Damn, I don't know, man. It just like everything you're saying about the Eagles is correct, and the opportunity they have here against the Giants is like, dude, just you can beat this team. You are the much better team, really. Talent wise, you are the much better team, and you should be able to beat them, right? They had a weird game against the Cardinals, and they've been having some weird games as of late. Ever since they beat the Chiefs, right? They're 2-4 since that. You fucking hear me now, Chiefs fans, or I don't hear you now, Chiefs fans. Whatever Nick Sirianni did, that shit that he did, it sucks.
It's like, dude, you lost the Super Bowl. Shut up.
Yeah,
like it's a regular season game.
Super Bowl. You're talking to 2-time Super Bowl winners right now.
It's like nothing more embarrassing than showing that your Super Bowl is a regular season game. You know, you got to hide those emotions. Yeah, of course you feel like that on the inside. You bury that shit. Deep down, you don't act like it's week 7, dude. Get your shit together.
Yeah, and really this is one of those, like, it's week 18, you win, and the Cowboys by some fucking miracle lose. You're now hosting a game at home, right? Like that, you've got to look going into this game kind of thinking everything is going to go your way. You're going to host a game. You're going to be NFC East champs, something like that, dude. It's just you can't have the same repeat of last week against the goddamn Cardinals. You can't go out there and look like shit with a team that was just at the Super Bowl last year. You've already gotten a playoff berth, which is awesome. It's a great, obviously, step, going forward in this season. But, dude, you just cannot like lose the way you've been losing for the last 6 games. It's just kind of embarrassing, and it's already, like I said in our recap episode, it's making Philadelphia fans kind of be like, get him out of here, but also like I kind of like him. We just got to give him the rest of this year or something like that. And you said it best. We're not ready to call Nick Sirianni great. He's been to a Super Bowl. Doesn't mean those coaches are fucking amazing and going to go on to have Hall of Fame careers. Right. Sometimes you just have a really good team that gets to Super Bowl that year. That's how it goes.
And you know what we were just saying? Sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off, but
no, go ahead.
The part where Washington had Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, and who was the other one?
Fleur.
Matt LaFleur. Yeah. All 3 of those were non-head coaches. All 3 of them. And
coordinators,
yeah, and it's like look at who the better coach was out of those 3. It's hard to tell, right? Because all 3 of them panned out so well. So what I'm trying to say is Philly lost their offensive coordinator and their defensive coordinator. Let me give you 2 teams that are overachieving: the Cardinals and the Colts. And barely the Cardinals, right? But as of lately, the Cardinals. So, like, that's got to kind of come into the picture here. Like, not only is Sirianni, we're not sold that he's a great coach, but also we are seeing the coaches that did leave are having success, and the Eagles are trying to figure out their problems.
Yeah. And it becomes, something as I think Crafty said it, right? Like Sirianni is becoming one of those, like, he's a product of his coordinators, and now it's like falling apart the year that they're both gone. We talked about it, I think when they got hired. So before I left on my last appointment, I think we talked about it, or we made a short about it or something.
Yeah.
Will Nick Sirianni and this Eagles team suffer because of their coordinators being hired away? And really at the end of the season, when it kind of begins to matter a lot in terms of seeding, hosting a game, winning the division, it's really coming, to be a problem. So, again, Nick Sirianni's got to be able to go into this game, get the dub convincingly against a pretty lowly Giants team. But again, Tyrod Taylor on the other side can make this a game with Brian DeBole there as head coach, and just double the size of regular man's nuts. He's got to be able to do something like that, man. He's got to give Philly, the city of Philly, that kind of reassurance of like, look, we're the same team that went to Super Bowl last year. We are not a product of our coordinators who are no longer here. We are still a very dominant team offensively and defensively. And watch us this playoffs. Watch us how we're going to go into it, and watch us the rest of the way. That's what Nick Sirianni needs to do with this team.
Yeah, and we mentioned it last week, but Jason Kelce and Jalen Hurts are two of the best leaders in the NFL, and they're on the same team.
Yeah.
And I think in a way that's going to help them a lot right now with the coaching situation and Sirianni up and down. I think they're going to find their security blanket in those type of players on the team. And I'm with you. I'm going Eagles, and I call it a close game, but not surprised at all if they flip a switch. This is a 10-1 football team. This was a 10-1 football team. Like, we're talking about them like they're like Tampa Bay, and that's how it feels, to be honest. But clearly you can't go 10-1 like that. But I've seen weirder things. I've seen Denver go 6-0 and miss the playoffs that year. So
same with the Bears. With the Bears.
We have the same stories, man.
It's
I swear.
Same teams, I swear.
All right. This is hold on.
Settle down.
This is Rick's game of the week. And for the first time this season, me and Rick have the same game of the week. This game was flexed. What?
No, my game of the week was Bears Packers.
Oh.
I wasn't fucking around about that.
Oh, okay. Because earlier you were like, my game of the week's coming later. And I was like, I know what it is. Like, okay. Well, I take all that back. We will once again disagree on the game of the week. But
agree to disagree.
I prepared something for this part of the show, okay?
Let's do it.
I wrote it down. And what I really wanted to share with our viewers is that I believe out of all the games that are on the line, you got DeMeco Ryans potentially playing a home game, playoff game, the Colts playoff game at home, new coaches. There's so much, like Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin, all of that. Nobody has more to lose than Buffalo this week.
Yeah.
And this is why. The Bills playoff scenarios, out of the 32 playoff scenarios in the AFC, 28 of 32 have the Bills in the playoffs. So that's telling you that there's 96% chance that Buffalo gets in. Okay. Now let's take a look at the 4 scenarios that have Buffalo missing the playoffs, because we want to know what that is, of course, right? Number 1, Pittsburgh beats Baltimore. They're not playing their starters. We picked Pittsburgh. Houston and Indy to not tie. That never happens. And the Jaguars beat Tennessee. We think Jags beat Tennessee. So far, these 3 things are probably going to happen. I don't think there will be a tie. I don't think Jags lose to Tennessee. And then the last thing is the Bills lose and they're out of the playoffs altogether. So here's what's on the line. If they win the game, they're a 2 seed. If they lose this game and those 3-4 things happen, they are completely out of the playoffs. That is insane, man. You talk about win or go home. 2 seed, meaning you get the benefit of the seeding and you play weaker teams, or you don't even go to the playoffs. This is why I love the NFL.
I love it.
I love this chaos. So Pittsburgh, Texans, Colts, Jags, they're all playing for something. But for the Steelers, it's win or go home. They're either the AFC East champions or they're going to be watching football from home. Is Sean McDermott, is he safe because they had a strong finish? Because he was about to get fired, and then they turned their season around. Now they've won 5 of 6 games, including a 5-game winning streak. They've won
something like that,
4 in a row, 5 of their last 6. And it's like, okay, does he get a pass? You talk coaches have jobs on the line. Players, there's not a game more important than this one. In a lot of these other games, if a certain team loses, they drop from the 7 seed out of the playoffs. But In no game does somebody go from almost a 1 seed to not even getting invited to this whole thing.
Yeah.
And why I think it's so important is because, and here we go, Buffalo can win the Super Bowl this year.
Woo!
And that is why this is the biggest game of the year. Now, if Buffalo wins this game, this is really, really interesting. If Buffalo wins this game, then Miami would play Kansas City in Kansas City. Okay, that's not good for Dolphin fans. Like, they don't want to do that. They would rather play the Colts or the Texans.
That's a tough one.
So Miami's got a lot to play for because they don't want to go into Kansas City. They know that because Kansas City's locked in. We already know what they are, and we know what the Dolphins will be if they lose that game. And they would be going to take on Kansas City. So you got Miami playing for matchup preference, and you also have Buffalo playing for literally the definition of everything.
Yeah.
And that is why this game was flexed to Sunday Night Football. And if you can beat Buffalo in this game and knock them out of the playoffs, because I do think if Buffalo loses, those other things happen. If Buffalo doesn't go to the playoffs, that all of a sudden all the AFC teams are like, oh, fuck, thank God. Because Buffalo right now, I'm telling you, this new identity of running the football, we've never seen Buffalo. We never took them serious as a running threat. They're running the ball now, and they're doing it really well. They've won four in a row, 5 of their last 6. They're the hottest team in the AFC right now. And Josh Allen's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. If Buffalo wins this game and they go into the playoffs as a 2 seed, I think that they could definitely win the AFC this year. And if you're Baltimore, if you're Pittsburgh, if you're the Colts, Jags, Texans, any of these teams, you're cheering for the Dolphins because you don't want to play Buffalo. And I just think when it comes to the magnitude of this game, it impacts everybody and everything. This is a crazy game. And I'll tell you who I got after you go.
No, fuck you. All right.
I'm still thinking.
I was thinking about this as you were talking about it, and I'm like, we're going to stream this game, and it's going to be the biggest, probably, not thinking about the playoffs, regular season, probably one of our biggest streams of this season for us. Yeah. I feel like we're going to get a bunch of people in it, and because of the magnitude, the size of this game. Like you said, Buffalo wins and they're in. They lose. All those other 3 things happen. They are fucking out. And it's crazy to just think about like what happens there because, like you said, the Dolphins don't want to just be like, fuck it, we could lose. That's fine. No, they don't want to go against the Chiefs. Even though the Chiefs haven't looked like the Chiefs of old, they still don't want to go into Arrowhead to take on this defense, to take on a playoff mode Patrick Mahomes, for their first playoff berth. No, they don't want that. They want to host a weaker team. They want to get the Bills out of the playoffs. They don't want to see them ever again for the rest of this season and the postseason. It's going to be a huge game. And Crafty made a good point there. Which Josh Allen are we going to see? The guy who throws for 3 picks, a touchdown, and gets beaten by 10 points or like a field goal? Or are we going to see the guy
not showing up?
Yeah, or are we going to see the guy who's throwing 4 touchdowns, rushing for one of them, has a great run game, behind him, and his defense is playing really well? Honestly, I think that's the Josh Allen we're going to see. I think we're going to see the Josh Allen who's making those beautiful throws to Gabe Davis deep, who's getting Stephon Diggs the ball 10 times, 12 times. And James Cook is a guy who has been used a lot more recently since Joe Brady has taken over offensive coordinator. I think they're going to run the ball down Miami's throat. Bradley Chubb is out, I believe, for this game, or he's injured, something like that. Either way, this defense is suffering a bit. Even with Vic Fangio there as their defensive coordinator, I think that's Josh Allen that's going to show up, and I think the Bills are going to win this game. I think the Bills are going to win this game 30-27. It's going to be a close fucking game. The Bills get in as the number 2 seed, as the AFC East division winners. And Josh Allen gets another shot at going to the Super Bowl as being one of those teams, like we've been saying, you do not want to play in the postseason.
And if that happens, that means Denver would have beaten over half of the AFC playoff teams.
On this episode of Making It All About the Broncos. Me.
Okay. There's one more key thing that we left out.
Okay.
Miami plays way better at home.
Yes, they do.
And that is something. I mean, we just talked about how they can't beat anybody, and they just beat the Cowboys at home. But the Cowboys can't beat anybody. But if two good, I'm not going down that.
The math doesn't math.
The math doesn't math, right? Because like somebody has to lose when two good teams play, and you're always going to say, "Oh, that they can't beat a real team yet." But it's like, are you saying that Miami's not a real team? Because they are. It's a little confusing, but Miami plays really good at home. But just to, I guess, put a bow in this, Miami is either the 2 seed or the 6 seed. That's it. So once again, they go from winning this game at home. And by the way, they're already limping into the playoffs. They are already banged up. And Buffalo, on the other hand, surging down the stretch, 4-game win streak. They're meeting at just, I think, the opposite type of time. Like where Miami was when Buffalo was collapsing is where you want to be. And where Buffalo is right now is all that matters. All that matters is that you are on a 4-game win streak going into the postseason. And the Giants, when they won the Super Bowl, that's what they did. They got hot at the right time. And this is a Buffalo team that's hot at the right time. We see Super Bowls like this all the time. And let's not act like this is like a Giants 7-9 Super Bowl winner. This is a double-digit win, you know? I mean, it's just been a year where we feel like teams aren't as good as they normally are, but scoring's down everywhere. And if a team has double-digit wins, that still means something. But Miami, they go from hosting, because if they win this game, they win their division, they get a home playoff game. Way different, especially if you're Miami and you know that you're better at home. You know that you need to play at home. So they go from hosting Texans, Colts, or Pittsburgh to flying to Kansas City to take on Patrick Mahomes.
Fuck that.
Those are the two scenarios. And I'm here to tell you, here on Only Football, that the Dolphins are going to beat the Chiefs.
Oh, shit. Already 2 weeks in advance from Kyle. I love it.
Which means Buffalo gets this one. They're going to win their division. I can't believe it. But Buffalo's going to win this game. They're playing better football right now. Now, Miami could win this game. It's not like the way I'm saying is like I'm very confident. I do feel like 70% confident on this, but there's still like a 30% chance that we're wrong about this one and that Miami comes out and plays a really good game. Yeah, they don't have those defensive players. They have track stars on their team. They don't. They didn't even have Jalen Waddle. Like that Ravens game they just played, they didn't even have Waddle in the game. So they're missing so much people. Yeah. And it's not a get right game, but they have to get right in this game. Even though I think they're coming off of that terrible loss. That's the other thing. Even if Miami was locked at a seed, you don't want to go to the playoffs like that. Like that, you just can't. You can't get beat like that and then be like, yeah, let's go into the playoffs and play Baltimore again. Like
that was fun.
This is a game to prove to themselves, the locker room, and the entire nation that Miami can beat a good team and that we're ready for the playoffs. If they win this game, forget about all that other stuff. Miami's going to be one of the teams people are like riding. Okay. They lose this game. It's going to feel a lot different going into the playoffs. Tua's not elite. We're going to hear all these other kind of stories. And if they win this game, MVP. It's polar opposites.
It's the NFL. It's the NFL. And I love it. Love it so much. As Kyle was saying that thing about the Bills too, I was like, I thought about our fantasy league. And I was like, for 2 years in a row, teams have gone from worst to champions in our league 2 years in a row. And I'm just like, that's the NFL. That is what I love. That is what I enjoy so much. That's crazy.
Because we have a great commissioner.
That's me.
I've been doing it for 3 years now.
You son of a bitch. All right. Well, guys, those were
That was our week 18 predictions. That
Week
was
18.
awesome.
Yeah, I loved
Week
it. All right.
18 still sounds a little weird, but
It's already upon us. But hey, playoff football, more excitement. It's just it's going to be as exciting as the entire season rolled into one. So you got to love it. All right. Kyle, playoffs?
I'm just hoping we can win a game.
So let's talk about it. We talked about our picks. Now let's get into the seedings 1 through 7. Who do we have with the bye week? Who do we have in or out? That's what we're going to talk about. The all the scenarios that could happen. Kyle, how do you want to go about this? You want to start off?
Yeah, I'll just jump right in because I'm not even going to talk about the teams that have already locked up. The 49ers aren't in here. Eagles, Cowboys, I'm not even doing that. Let's just focus on the wild card because that's what everyone really cares about is who's going to make it into the playoffs and who's going to miss. Tampa, as we said earlier, cannot be a 7 seed. If they lose, they're out of the playoffs altogether. Meanwhile, Atlanta and New Orleans have 4 scenarios, where they can lose and still be a 7 seed. They would need a lot of teams to lose, but to make this simple, there's 64 different clinching scenarios for the NFC, and that's just for 6 and 7 seeds.
Wow.
64 different scenarios for the 6 and 7 seeds. Now, the Rams already clinched, so there's one we don't have to talk about, and there's only 2 spots available. So who's going to get those final 2 spots? Well, the Packers, they are clinching in 38 of the 64 scenarios. The Seahawks are clinching in 16 of the 64. The Vikings are clinching in 6 of the 64, and the Saints only 4 of the 64.
Wow.
So there's 32 playoff clinching scenarios with, and now we're going to the AFC, okay? But D for the P. If the Packers win, then they're in. And in the AFC, Miami loses, then they play the Chiefs, like we just talked about. They're locked in at the 6 seed with a loss. So Miami loses this game. There's no way around it. They have to go to Arrowhead and they have to play Kansas City versus hosting, where they play better at home, hosting a team like Pittsburgh Texans, Colts, somebody like that. So huge game coming up. Jags have scenarios where they can lose and still make the 7 seed. This is one of my favorites. 20 of 32 of the scenarios have the Jaguars in half of the scenarios winning the division. Okay. Now, let's talk about those weird ones where they can lose and still get in. Okay. 16 of the 32 scenarios have Houston, Pittsburgh, Indianapolis in the playoffs. Pittsburgh could be a 6 seed even. Isn't that crazy? Pittsburgh and Jacksonville have situations where they can lose and get in. So I'll tell you Jacksonville's, and then I'll tell you Pittsburgh's. So Jacksonville, how do they get in with a loss? Well, they would need Pittsburgh and Denver to lose. Okay, I'll say that one more time. So how can Jacksonville get into the postseason with a loss? Pittsburgh needs to lose and Denver needs to lose, along with Texans and Indy not ending in a tie. Pittsburgh is in with a loss if the Jags lose, Denver wins, and the Colts and Texans don't tie. So there's actually a scenario where Pittsburgh loses on Sunday and they're in the playoffs. Jacksonville can lose and be in the playoffs as well. But both those teams can't both get in with a loss. like Jacksonville either needs Pittsburgh to lose or Pittsburgh needs Jacksonville to lose. But because Pittsburgh is in with the loss if the Jags lose, Denver wins, and the Colts and Texans tie. So, man, that's wild, though. So just keep in mind that if you're watching these games on Sunday and you're a Pittsburgh fan and the Ravens win by 3, that there's more football to watch.
Yeah.
And actually, you will probably know around this time based on what's going on. But if you're a Pittsburgh fan, you're keeping up with the Jags game, the Broncos game, and the Colts game. Those are huge games. And why do they need Denver to win? I'm assuming because the Raiders record or conference record, something. I'm not even going to get into that. Okay.
Yeah.
But
conference. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the Ravens Steelers game. Okay. No Lamar Jackson, but the team with the most on the line this weekend's the Buffalo Bills. We just talked about that. Jordan Love can make the playoffs and take ownership of the Bears. Bills scenarios. 32 playoff scenarios for the AFC.
Wow.
28 of the 32 have the Bills in the playoffs. And I'll mention this one more time for the clip, but we only have 4 scenarios where Buffalo is out of the playoffs, and they're very likely to happen. Once again, those 4 things is that Houston and Indy doesn't end in a tie, Jacksonville beats Tennessee, and Pittsburgh beats Baltimore. If the Bills lose and those 3 things happen, they're completely out of the playoffs. Or if they win, they're number 2 seed.
Jesus.
And then on the other side, Miami is either a 2 seed or a 6 seed. The same scenario, but Chiefs are locked in at their seed. So Miami loses, they have to go to Kansas City, go to Arrowhead, where if they win, they're hosting the Texans, Colts, or Steelers. Pittsburgh, Texans, Colts, Jacks, all playing for something in week 18. And it's win or go home for everybody. Mm-hmm. And those are, I think, the most important ones I wanted to lay out.
Love it. Love it. And for me, in terms of like, if we're talking about, who we have based on our wins and losses, do you want to go over that now, Kyle? Like who we have in based on our
absolutely.
week 18 predictions.
I'm so fucking excited.
First of all, craziness with all those scenarios. Again, I kind of want to, I hope the Seahawks get in. It would be awesome to see the Seahawks get in. Because the Packers and the Saints don't deserve it, that's for sure.
Wow,
the
Packers don't deserve it with the first
I said
year.
Saints too.
Okay,
but okay, let's go over it. Do you want to do NFC or AFC first?
Let's do AFC first.
Let's do AFC first. All right. So for me, number 1, the Ravens. They're gonna have their bye. It's gonna go that way. They already clinched it. That's pretty much obvious for me. Number 2, with the Bills winning in my predictions, the Bills have the number 2 seed on the AFC East title for themselves, and they get to play the number 7 seed. For me, number 3, I've got the Chiefs winning the AFC West. Sorry, Kyle. The number 4, I got the Jags winning the AFC South with a win against the who did they play against? The Rams.
The Jags. Tennessee.
Titans. Yeah, the Titans. That's who it was. Now 5, 6, and 7. My wild cards. Browns definitely in there. They've already clinched the playoff spot. And of course, the Dolphins, who are going to be losers against the Bills this week for that AFC East division crown. And then my number 7 seed, because of my predictions, is going to be the Houston Texans with first year CJ Stroud. That's who I've got. AFC 1 through 7. And CJ Stroud, D'Amico Ryans, all these guys, I think they're going to have a pretty surprising playoffs.
How far do you think they can go?
I don't know. I think they might put up a good. So if this is exactly what the seeding is going into after week 18, they play against the Bills. And these are 2 teams that are very, very good. Especially late in the season and really all season, especially the Texans. They've had their bumps. They've had their road, their speed bumps, but getting later into the season, you got your quarterback back in when CJ Stroud with the Texans, and the Bills have been playing a little bit better with the running game. I think they put up some good points against the Bills. I think they make the Bills work for that win at home. And the Bills could come away with a win in the first round, though, I think. But the Texans, I think they turn some heads for sure in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I got the Ravens at the 1 seed, the Bills at the 2 seed, Chiefs at the 3 seed, Jags at the 4 seed, Browns at the 5 seed. Dolphins at the 6 seed. Dolphins all the way down to the 6 seed. And then at the 7 seed, Rick, I have the Texans.
Yes, let's go. Kyle and I have 1 through 7.
Are we exactly the same?
We are exactly the
So
same.
just so you know, if our predictions are true, the Ravens, of course, have a bye week, but the Bills would be playing the Texans. What a better matchup. Maybe. I don't know. But Bills Texans. Chiefs would play the Dolphins, and the Jaguars, well, they're going to play those Joe Flacco-led Browns. I mean, which game are you most excited for? Bills, Texans, Chiefs, Dolphins, or Jags, Browns? All of them?
Yeah. Dude, honestly, all of them. The only one that might be no, dude, all of them. Even Jags, Browns. Like that would probably be the less premier game if we're really thinking about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, Trevor Lawrence, the Jags, the Browns with Joe Flacco, like there's just stuff going on in both teams. You know, Doug Peterson takes over for it. Now they're in the playoffs. They're looking better. So that is probably the less premier type of game in the playoffs if it is Jags Browns, but it's still a very, very good game to watch.
And the Bucks playing the Panthers. You want to do the NFC now?
Yeah, let's do the NFC.
All right.
So for me, number 1, 49ers. Going to get it for sure. They've been the best team in the NFC all season long. Number 2, with the win and already clinching the playoffs, the Cowboys are going to have the NFC East crown. So they are going to be at the number 2 spot. Number 3, NFC North Division leading Lions at number 3. And then at number 4, I've got the Bucks winning in week 18 with a better record than the Saints, and the Bucks taking the division at number 4. Number 5 already clinched the spot in the playoffs. The Eagles at number 5, and then number 6 got the LA Rams there at the number 6 spot, and then number 7. Even though this is a crazy thing to say, and I know how crazy it sounds, undeservedly so, the Saints get the number 7 seed. You have 2 NFC South teams.
No, that's not happening.
That this should not be an NFC South team.
Cut.
Cut the stream.
Are you serious though?
I've got the Saints, man. I've got the Saints winning. Yeah, I've
what
got
do
the
they
Bears.
Need to do to get in?
If I get the Bears beating the Packers and the Seahawks losing against the Cardinals, that's it.
That's it? Okay.
Yeah. And the Vikings losing, I think, too. Or they have a shot, but I think, yeah, that's it.
Well, I have pretty much the same exact thing. So the 49ers are at 1. Dallas is at 2. Lions 3. Buccaneers 4. Or Atlanta Falcons 4.
Ooh.
Yep. And then number 5, Eagles. 6, Rams.
Don't do it. Don't you fucking do it, Kyle. Don't you fucking do it.
And the goddamn Packers at number 7, which means that the Packers,
this man.
The Packers would play Dallas for their first playoff game.
Ooh.
The Lions would play the Rams, and the the Falcons would play the Eagles. I think those are like really good matchups. Like Falcons and Eagles could be a sneaky great game. I think Philly would probably get that win and move on to divisional. And then Lions Rams, we talked about that game briefly earlier. How much fun is that game going to be? We already know that that's a game happening. We know a playoff game. And Packers Cowboys has always been a banger.
That's going to be a good one.
Yeah. So I'm glad that we did this segment because it's like bittersweet that we're ending week 18, but to look ahead,
it's awesome.
We're gonna have a lot of fun left this year.
And for me, it would be Saints Cowboys, Lions Rams.
I don't
Bucks,
like that as much.
Eagles. Of course not. Of course you don't. Nobody does.
Is it because I like the Packers? Like, do you honestly? What would you prefer if you could pick?
I'd prefer the Packers to never make the playoffs again.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that part. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is our playoff prediction. Who's going to be right? Who's going to be wrong? Find out this weekend.
Let's go into, Kyle, now. We had the Pro Bowl rosters come out.
Yes,
And
we
of
did.
course,
I'm gonna D for the P really quick while you intro this.
D for the P. And of course, every time the Pro Bowl rosters come out, there's always people who love it and mostly people who absolutely hate it because this person got snubbed, this person got snubbed. How the hell do they have this person in instead of this person? And look, we're fans. We know that's how it goes. Both teams only have 44 spots. You know, the AFC and the NFC, they only have 44 spots on each roster. And yet somehow we still think that there were snubs. And look, there are snubs most of the time. We are going to go through a couple of these, Kyle and I, that we really do think are snubs, that the person that is in should be replaced a person who we think is the better player. And we're going to go through that here in a bit once Kyle gets back. But there's always controversy around the Pro Bowl. And the thing is, the Pro Bowl doesn't really mean as much anymore. Let's be real, right? Player safety is obviously at the tippy top of concerns. You know, we talk about how the game has changed, and the Pro Bowl seems to be one of those things that, while awesome, it's just more hitting, it's just more risk of injury. It's just more of that, and we don't necessarily need that for players maybe playing for a contract in the offseason or who have played for a contract in the offseason. We just want our guys to be on the Pro Bowl roster. And that's, you know, what we're going to talk about right now, because yes, there are snubs, but for the most part, in my opinion, I think the Pro Bowl rosters are pretty good. But let's talk a little bit about some snubs we had. Kyle, do you want to go one for one? Do you want me to go through mine? Or how do you want to do this?
Yeah, we can go one for one if you want to go first.
I'll go first. All right. So my first Pro Bowl snub, and I do have part of this is who they should replace on the current Pro Bowl roster. Okay. I've got Antoine Winfield Jr., 117 tackles. First of all, this guy's been all over the fucking field for the Tampa Bay Bucks.
I had him on my list too, actually.
Oh, perfect. Let's talk about it. 117 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, 7 quarterback hits, 5 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries, 3 interceptions, and 12 passes defended. As a safety, you've got fucking 5 sacks as a safety. That's insane. And who should he replace? Sorry, Seahawks, but Julian Love does not have anywhere near the same numbers as Antoine Winfield Jr. And Julian Love is one of the safeties starting and on the roster for the Pro Bowl. Antoine Winfield Jr. deserves this spot. He is definitely one of the biggest snubs on that defense for the NFC.
At number 2, in no particular order, I have Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yes.
And more importantly for Lions fans, St. Brown has helped this team win their first division in 30 years.
30 years, yeah.
Which means the Lions are going to host a playoff game. And a lot of it has to do with this guy. He hasn't been like the greatest in the league, but I think he's done enough to maybe get a Pro Bowl nod. He's got 1,371 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 112 catches. And those are all career best for him. He's had 800-yard receiving games this season, which has him tied with CeeDee Lamb and Tyreek Hill. So I definitely think that there's a case to be made. But like you said, not everybody can make it. And when you said, honestly, this roster is pretty good, it's always going to be good. You know what I mean? Like, it's never going to be like, dude, what's up with the Pro Bowl roster? It sucks. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, there's going to be a ton of people that are deserving of it and don't get it. Like CMC was snubbed last year. Holy crap, was that a bad one? And there's a couple receivers that I won't name on my list, but because I know that you're going to go in this direction. So let's hear who that receiver is.
Yep. Well, real quick, what I do want to say is it's tough. You know, Amon-Ra, as much as he deserves a Pro Bowl nod, it's tough to replace Mike Evans. It's tough to replace CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, and really Puka Nacua has had an amazing season. So it is tough to replace those guys.
He had a good start to the season, but the last 5 weeks haven't been great.
Yeah, you're right. He really hasn't. He kind of fell off a little bit and as the Eagles have gone, really.
But he was breaking records in the same season. So.
Yeah, dude, he was doing amazing. And yeah, So I just want to say that Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's had a great season. Yes, has led the Detroit Lions, has been one of the leaders in that, but it's tough to take all those guys out. And that's why it's like you could argue all day, but for the most part, the Pro Bowl roster is pretty elite. And I don't have anybody that this person can replace either on this roster, but I still am going snub. DJ Moore, wide receiver for the Chicago Bears. What a fucking season he has had. Not only has he gotten back to over 1,000 yards receiving after,
13.
He went what's that?
1,300.
Yeah, he's gotten over 1,000, and last year was the only year, I think his second of 5 years that he didn't have 1,000 yards receiving. He's back to it. 92 receptions, 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown on top of that. Best Bears receiver since Brandon Marshall. He's been responsible for 60 first downs and always catches the fucking ball. What? Yeah,
what
has been responsible. And Amon-Ra St. Brown
been up all night.
responsible for 70. Responsible for 70 first downs. Yeah, dude. These two guys, as good as they are in the NFC North, again, there's really nowhere to put them when you compare them with CeeDee Lamb and AJ Brown. But these guys are sure-handed. They get first downs, they get yards, they get touchdowns. And DJ Moore, that's my other pick for Pro Bowl snub.
All right, that one I can get with, but I'll just say
DJ
Moore has like really hot and cold moments. Like there's games where he has like 3 touchdowns and 200 yards, like the Commanders game.
Yeah.
And then there's like, where the fuck is DJ Moore? Like, no, not where's DJ Moore, but why isn't he getting the ball?
Coaching.
So there's DJ Moore fits right in. I would take Amon-Ra St. Brown slightly over DJ Moore, just because his team's having more success, to be honest.
Yeah, of course.
But Amon-Ra St. Brown is definitely in the conversation of like getting robbed here. And Brandon Ayuk was he on your list?
He was not on my list, no, but he is one of them for sure.
I wasn't going to dive into that too deep. I was just going to say quickly that Brandon Ayuk also is another notable NFC receiver that's not going to make it, who actually made his feelings about it known on social media with a joker.
A lot of these guys. No, that was DJ Moore.
Okay, I was confused with DJ Moore's.
Yeah.
But Anton Winfield Jr. did also post, he put with the thinking emoji. Yeah. And then Quincy Williams tweeted 2024, leave no doubt. I'm not sure what that means really. I don't know if he means like, because we're in 2024, but is he talking about next season?
The season probably, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to give you another one. And this is I'll say real quick, I'm really glad Sam Laporta got the nod, because sometimes rookies don't get it just because they're rookies. Sam Laporta getting it, the nod is definitely he's worthy of it. All right. At number, well, no particular order. Particular order. I'm going to go with a special teams guy, Dustin Hopkins.
Yeah, there we go.
Let's make Pat McAfee happy. Let's throw some love to the kickers. Yeah. And this will be the only kicker I throw into this list. Justin Tucker's the best to ever do it. And this is probably like one of those similar seasons to the kind that he has. Dustin Hopkins has nailed 91.7% of his attempts this season, 36 attempts, and he made 91% of them. Yeah. He went 8 for 8 from 50 plus. 8 for 8, 50 plus. I can appreciate that, man. Yeah. With a long of 58. Hopkins, 6.6 field goals made over expected, trails only Brandon Aubrey, 8.5, and Matt Prater, 6.8. Throw some love to the kicker. This guy has been a staple. The Browns have a lot of times not been able to score touchdowns, settle for field goals, and won those games. That's why they're in the playoffs. He's the one guy, if you take off their team, they're not in the playoffs, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the shitty thing is, like, he got hurt. Dustin Hopkins is hurt right now, so I wonder if – you said what?
Myles Garrett too. I was like, he's the one guy. If you take out the team, they're not in the playoffs. Myles Garrett's the other one, but
yeah, for sure. And like you said, Justin Tucker, best to do it. One of the best to do it, if not the best to do it. Probably go down in his career as one of the most accurate kickers. Has made big time field goals. Has crushed a lot of opposing fans' hearts with the field goals he's made. But this year, he's not it, man. It's Dustin Hopkins. That's who it is. Like you said, you mentioned all those stats. It's Dustin Hopkins should be replacing Justin Tucker in the Pro Bowl. Could not agree more. And Pat McAfee, yeah, let's make him happy. Let's make Pat McAfee happy.
Love you, Pat.
All right, my last one. And this one, again, I've got who he should replace because it's kind of, I don't know, it's a bit crazy. Isaiah Pacheco from the Chiefs has been one of those guys for the Chiefs that sometimes he is the offense during some games this season. He has been the offense for the Chiefs. 935 rush yards, 7 rushing touchdowns, 244 receiving yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. He should be replacing Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's season has been completely terrible. It is not a Derrick Henry type of season. He is not making the impact that on the Titans that he used to. Isaiah Pacheco,
I agree,
has definitely been making that impact on the Chiefs. That's why he is an actual Pro Bowl snub. Take Derrick Henry out, put in Pacheco.
Yeah, and while we're doing that, let's take out Patrick Mahomes and put in Josh Allen. Because Josh Allen has about 200 passing yards less. That's not enough to make a decision on who gets to go to the Pro Bowl. Let's look at the larger sample size. Patrick Mahomes hasn't had a great season. It is what it is. He has 27 touchdown passes. He had 50, 51, 52 his third season. This is a really down year for him. I mean, Dak Prescott has 32, which is the most in the NFL. So it's down everywhere. But Josh Allen has 27. But what's different about it is, they have the exact same amount of touchdowns, but Josh Allen is a dual threat. Patrick Mahomes can run, don't get me wrong, but Josh Allen, when they fired Ken Dorsey, the biggest difference they made is that they just put everything back in Josh Allen's hand. Look at those games. 4th and inches, Josh Allen runs it. Need a touchdown, Josh Allen runs it. Need a conversion, Josh Allen. They just said, hey, just take over. Take over. Just, have you seen 8 Crazy Nights with Adam Sandler?
Yes.
You know the game movie. At the game before his parents died where they're playing basketball. And
just give it to him.
Josh Allen just kind of took over this second half, and we're seeing the results. To me, that's honestly an MVP candidate type of season. I understand he's not going to win it, but to be mentioned, I think makes sense. And to not even make it to the Pro Bowl, I don't know about that one. His passer rating this season, 91.5. Mahomes, 92.6. QBR for Mahomes, 62.5. For Josh Allen, 68.2. I think it probably just came down to pick one. Who's more popular? Patrick Mahomes.
I would also even put a little like that was my last one with Isaiah Pacheco, but I would even say CJ Stroud deserves to be in there.
Of course. Yeah. Wait, he's not
Stroud. No, CJ Stroud's not in there. It is Lamar Jackson, it is Tua, and it is Patrick Mahomes. Those are the 3 guys. I would put in CJ Stroud over Mahomes
and Josh Allen,
and even over Josh Allen, and even over Tua.
How is that even possible?
Man, this is real time pissed off. You did snub a guy. This is Kyle real time. Like, I can't believe they didn't put him in. 100%, dude. I think it's because of his injury too.
He was only out for 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
Yeah. And this is the reason I say I would put in him over Josh Allen. Josh Allen, for a couple of those weeks they're losing, that time where they're in that speed bump losing type of thing. He was the reason they were losing. He was the reason they were losing. So for me, I would probably put in CJ Stroud over Mahomes and over Josh Allen. Yeah.
Yeah. Patrick Mahomes has about 400 more passing yards than CJ Stroud, and he's played 4 more games.
Yeah.
So
not much.
CJ Stroud, if he didn't sit out, would lead the NFL in passing yardage.
Yeah, he'd be up there.
Even CJ Stroud or even Tua only has 4,451 yards. Like, this guy missed 4 football games, and he has 3,844. He's unbelievable, really.
It really is.
It's one of the greatest stories of this year is CJ Stroud and what he's done for the team, and that's why they're going to the playoffs. They fucked up.
Yeah, you got Laporte in, you got Puka Nacua in. These are rookies. Fuck it, why not throw in a fucking?
How did he
CJ
not
Stroud?
get in? I feel like they should have to explain these things. It's just voting, right?
I believe
Texans
so.
aren't
Like
a
a
popular
group
fan base, I guess.
Like a group of people or it is the voting, and I guess they just take all this. I don't know, man. I don't count
votes
them.
Count for different, like your owner's vote counts.
Yeah, something like that. And then there's a player's vote too, I think.
Yeah,
I don't remember. But let us know who you think got snubbed from the Pro Bowl in the comments, because you just saw real time. Kyle was like, "What?"
That's bullshit, dude.
Yeah, 100%,
I'm not over here
100%.
like so. Who are the quarterbacks for the AFC? Lamar Jackson and Mahomes.
Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, and Tua. Yeah, Lamar Jackson, 100%.
I'm taking CJ over Tua this year.
I would probably too.
But Tua leads the NFL in passing yard. You can't. It's tough.
It is a tough one to take out. But again, all voted for on the tweeters. So,
but CJ Stroud, he was like at one point a serious MVP candidate.
100%.
And it's just 100%. Absurd to think that somebody could win MVP and miss the Pro Bowl. Like
100%, dude.
The math ain't mathing.
Math ain't mathing. The tweets ain't tweeting. And if you didn't retweet for a Pro Bowl for your favorite player, it's on you. Your fault.
1/3 equals fans, 1/3 equals players, 1/3.
Oh, so okay. So it is 1/3 your fault if you didn't retweet.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's always your fault. Like I said, let us know who your Pro Bowl snubs are in the comments. Kyle, it's time. It's time.
What is it time for?
What is it time for? I think it's time for the unlimited chives with Kyle.
All right. So Dak Prescott's having one of the best years, and I pretty much have him cemented as my MVP. I would go with Brock Purdy, but I think Dak Prescott's just doing more at the quarterback position. I'm not saying Brock Purdy can't get there, but he's so young. He that's going to take 7-8 years to learn what Dak knows. Watching Dak play has been incredible. And this is another statistic that kind of points to how incredible Dak's been playing this year. Because I know when you play for the Cowboys, no one takes you serious for some reason. And I don't want it to get lost on us. The season's about to be over. Let's appreciate this for a second. So upon this time a year ago, Dak Prescott was mounting interceptions. He would end the regular season with a league and career high 15 interceptions and opening up an offseason worth of conversation regarding all these turnover issues and if they should move on and try to find someone else. Prescott and the Cowboys are going to be really happy when they hear what I'm about to say. And this is a quote. This is a quote from Dak Prescott himself, okay? At that time last year, I knew this is who I am. Just as I talked about then, Prescott said Tuesday. Some things were tough. Balls weren't going exactly the way I wanted to. Some crazy bounces here and there, and some tight throws that weren't working in my favor. And then your occasional bad interception, which is true. Sometimes there's a lot of unlucky interceptions. But, you know, it doesn't matter. At the end of the year, if you have 15, it's a problem.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just about staying true to myself, keep working, and not allow other people's opinions, critics really affect my game or the way that I approach this. Prescott, who has had 8 interceptions in 16 games, is approaching history as he and the Cowboys look to clinch the NFC East with a win over the Washington Commanders on Sunday. What is the history? His 32 touchdown passes are top in the NFL with San Francisco Brock Purdy at second with 31. Trailing beyond that is only Jordan Love with 30. And 3 others tied at 28. Should Prescott finish his campaign with the TD toss crown, throwing the most touchdowns, he would join Hall of Famer Roger Staubach, 1973. I believe he he coached too. But didn't he? It was like not Arkansas, maybe Oklahoma.
Probably,
anyway,
yeah.
As the only Cowboy quarterback, QBs to lead the league in touchdown passes. He would also join another Hall of Famer, Bob Waterfield, 1945, to lead the league in touchdowns after leading it in interceptions the year before. And what this really means is this is an all-time great turnaround by Dak Prescott. Yeah. And indeed, he went from having valid concerns about protecting the football to being a guy playing at the highest level of anybody in his position.
Mm-hmm. Good for Dak. Good for fucking Dak. Great chives, Kyle. Great chives. Great chives.
I know Bill didn't like him. Oh, great. Yeah. More Cowboys.
More Cowboys talk.
What are you guys, the Eagles ESPN? For another 10 minutes? Yeah, exactly. Dude, that's so funny you said that, because today when I was watching First Take with my uncle on a lunch break, and the Cowboys came up, and he's like, can't have ESPN on without the Cowboys being on there. And then you say this like 7 hours later.
What are we going to do? Talk LeBron next? Jesus Christ.
LeBron, Cowboys, and something bad like a firing.
Yeah, like a firing. Yeah. Oh, and the Lakers. Yep. All right. Well, thank you to everybody who tuned in. This was another great episode because of you guys here on the Only Football Podcast. Bill, Nick, E-Dub, we had Crafty in here, we had Liam, we had Andy, we had God, who else do we have in here? We had Angel in here, and we had just a ton of you guys in the comments. Thank you guys so much for being in here and always liking, always commenting. We always appreciate you guys in the comments and just being part of the Only Football family. Kyle, we are currently 25 subscribers away from 500 subscribers, and I think
you guys did it.
You guys did it. And I think we got to thank our boy Tom Grossi for taking, rating us, bringing us some of our subscribers that we have now. So always thank you to Tom Grossi and the Grossi posse. We should be doing, if we don't get there past week 18, I think we should do a subathon.
Yeah,
one of the wildcard teams. Yeah, we're definitely going to go streaking. We will definitely go streaking. We won't show it on the internet because then we will definitely not be monetized.
But we have to hold hands while we run.
Yeah, we'll hold hands.
What are you guys doing? We're streaking.
Is all you're going to hear. But it's going to be awesome. I think during one of the wildcard games, I think we should do like a little subathon, chugs for subs. I think that would be fun. Kyle and I will be we're going to get that ready for you. We're going to get that ready for you guys. And yeah, Bill, only 25 now. What happened? We got 10 over the last week. It's been awesome.
Check out our newest shorts that we uploaded, including my latest short that I uploaded about how the Ravens signed Dalvin Cook, which
yes,
have to at least throw that in there. I should have threw it on my chives, but Dalvin Cook is a Raven. Does it matter? Not sure yet, but
we'll see.
It's a big name.
Yeah, a big name. But for sure, guys, we could not have gotten to where we are without you guys. And we always thank you, Grossi Posse and everything. And as always, like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, tell people on the side of the road that probably don't even give a shit, but tell them anyway, because we're trying to get all the followers. And as always, you can follow us on X and now Rick for myself, and the Only Football Podcast page at Only Football KR. Kyle, where can they follow you on X?
You can follow me at FTBL ONLYPODCAST. Like, subscribe, share, Twitter, buzzword. Let's do it.
Thank you guys again for joining us here on the Only Football Podcast with myself and Kyle. Always a great time, man.
Oh, Rick,
see you. Yes,
it's time. It's time for playoff football. It's It's time to get it's time to get fucking set, baby.
It's time to get fucking set, Kyle. It's always
go.
A pleasure, dude. I'll see you week 18.
See you.
See you.